adventure filled with unforgettable memories.
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
You know what? What? Would you fire me? Because I need some time off. Well, perjury.
Politicians regularly do that. That's how they operate.
Okay. That's the answer to every legal question. It depends.
Yeah, you know what? I use that a lot with Pam.
How's that going for you?
Not well.
I didn't think so.
Not well.
Add some fun to your mornings. Watch Mornings on the Dove, 6 to 8 a.m.
What happens when people hear an audio Bible in their own language for the very first time?
I still remember an old man in the village. We just finished the Bible. We have it in audio. It's the story of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Would you like to listen? And the old man, 94 years old, said, I have never heard of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That day he did. That day he accepted Christ.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Greg Laurie, encouraging viewers to know God and make Him known. Harvest weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning, good morning. Happy the day we've been waiting to say, Friday.
Yeah.
Happy Friday to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And Jerry Bildman is here with only one shoe on.
Hey, I'm hopping around, man.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? And speaking of which, I got a story today that I so relate to. I may even have a new nickname coming out of it, but we'll wait. Oh, I can't wait to show you.
So he can give you the left foot of fellowship.
We've heard about the left foot of fellowship, haven't we?
Yeah, you're the only one. You can literally give the left foot of fellowship.
That's the only one I got.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, happy Friday to you. A lot going on in the news, and quite the speech last night the president gave at the University of Alabama
How about
commencement.
That? Yeah.
I think that it was very insightful to a lot of things. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
The weather is a little bit cooler, but not for long.
Yeah.
It's just like a little one-day dip.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And anything special?
Well, it is National Space Day.
Really?
Yes,
well,
dedicated.
I'm accused of that 24/7. Is that what it means?
No, it dedicates the first Friday in May to the extraordinary achievements, benefits, and opportunities in the exploration and use of space. And obviously, that continues in full force. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering. Now, there are concepts. You know, we worry about just, reading test scores, some basic math test scores, but this takes it to a new level. The hope is to inspire young people to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. And obviously, that is quite a field. And we're at an exploration level that has, it's surpassed everything we've seen in the past, including the race to the moon. So, we continue. And can you say SpaceX?
Well, somebody's going to go there. I think the Blue Origin one, Bezos,
Yes, yeah.
That's the glorified joyride.
Yeah, that's a carnival ride, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have anything else attached to it.
And in
SpaceX
fact,
now is actually up and
there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek about the last,
all women thing,
Blue Horizon thing. Yes, and calling themselves astronauts and stuff. And it's like, really? You rode on a roller coaster basically without a rail. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can officially call them astronauts.
I don't know either.
You're an astronaut for what, 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think so, about that. So anyway, but there are a lot of opportunities, and maybe you are inspired to continue with that. So.
Okay.
It's also School Lunch Hero Day.
Oh.
Yeah, dedicated to the men and women who make the cafeterias in schools a better place to be. Did you eat in the cafeteria, or did you pack your lunch, or did you go home? How did you eat lunch in school?
Well, early on, we all brought a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then later on, when you higher up, they had a thing called a cafeteria.
Yes.
And then you either had the option of getting lunch for whatever it was, 50 cents, or bringing a lunch.
Yeah.
But that's where all the deal making and the date making was made.
Date making. Yes. Yeah.
That's where it was all done.
Oh, golly. Was there a cool kid table in your cafeteria?
Oh, gosh. They had these tables where, if you got invited to sit at that, you made it.
You made right. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how hierarchy is established in a cafeteria?
Yeah.
Huh?
Some of these movies have capitalized on that, where they had certain groups of people sitting around. And I was never asked to sit at the intellectual table.
Did you force your way in?
I was such a socialite that I just got into trouble. So
yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because as a new kid, I remember when I grew up in a cafeteria in a little farm community in North Dakota, and everybody was in the cafeteria.
Yeah,
but, it's 30 below outside.
Yeah.
There's no place else to go.
Yeah.
But I remember when we went to California, and when I was in junior high school, and I met some kids, and I remember the first week I was there, I got invited to their table at the cafeteria, and I remember it was a real warm fuzzy because I had somebody to talk to. First couple days I was kind of sitting alone. And then you kind of get included. It's you mentioned the left foot of fellowship. Yeah. This was an embrace, and it was kind of nice. So
and you could tell by the tables being fashion models, because certain tables dress this way.
Isn't that the truth?
And another table's dressed this way.
You are so, and
you had the ag club over here, and you had the motorcycle club over here.
Yeah, and that brings up a great point. Do you remember when we were kids, you might have had a best buddy or two, and girls do this too. They have their best friends and stuff, and they dress alike.
Yep.
I mean, exactly alike.
Yeah, well, it's you can say what you want. We are products of our environment.
We really are. We want to belong, don't we?
Yeah, we certainly do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, belong to this. I mean, here's a nice way to top it all off. One thing to eat. It's National Truffle Day.
Oh, really?
The N. Petruccelli of Chambray, France, is believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle in December of 1895. And traditionally, chocolatiers make this sweet confection with a chocolate ganache center coated in chocolate icing, cocoa powder, chopped nuts, or coconut. Sometimes they may fill the truffle with other tasty surprises too. For example, some candy makers include cream, melted chocolate, caramel nuts, fruit, nougat, fudge, toffee, mint, marshmallow, and a number of other things, but they're all good. But we get...
Is this brought to you by Harry and David?
It could be, huh? Because we've done a lot of Harry and David truffles around here.
Yeah.
And they are good. The truffles I've seen.
All right.
And that's all we got on this Friday.
All right, well, here's the truffle you find under the leaves out in the forest somewhere.
A springtime front is approaching the top of our region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny for Vancouver and Wilsonville with highs in the low 70s, increasing clouds in Portland with a high near 74, and a slight chance of showers in upper 60s in McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley, sunny in low 70s in Salem, mostly sunny in upper 60s for Albany and Corvallis, increasing clouds in low 70s in Eugene with showers moving in tonight. Increasing clouds across central Oregon today as showers move in this evening. Daytime highs will be in the low 80s for Prineville and mid 70s for Bend and Sun River. In Boise, Idaho, sunny and low 80s. Along the Oregon coast, a front moving in will bring a chance of rain with spots of patchy fog and daytime highs in the low 60s around Coos Bay and low to mid 50s for Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City, California. Increasing clouds in southern Oregon with daytime highs near 77 in Grants Pass and Medford. A slight chance of thunderstorms for both Ashland and the Klamath Basin with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. Into northern California, becoming cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms and near 77 in Wairika. Sunny with daytime highs near 83 in Redding and Chico and near 79 in Sacramento. In the Bay Area, morning patchy fog for Santa Rosa and Napa, then sunny with daytime highs in the low 70s. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the low 60s. And today in San Jose, sunny and 72. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you, and there's a picture of our beautiful southern Oregon Valley, or the Rogue Valley, and we got some clouds, maybe a sprinkle here and there through the weekend, but it'll only be around for a few hours, and then back to warm weather.
Yeah, well, we could take some more showers, but
we'll
take what we get, won't we? A lot of discussion these days about truth. You know, we see lawsuits going on about, news organizations, who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. But here is Billy Graham, and he proclaims that Jesus is the sum of all truth.
Here's what the Bible says about Jesus. Listen to this. Have you ever heard anything, any description, any greater than this in all of literature? Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, be they thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him, and he is before all things, and he holds all things together, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. Jesus Christ said, I am the truth. When science finds out the ultimate secret of the universe, they're going to find Jesus. Time magazine carried its cover story a few weeks ago on the genes, the genetic problem, and what is happening in science and how close we are to creating human life. You know, we may be able to create human life, but it won't be a man. He won't have a conscience and he won't have a soul. He won't have that part of him made in the image of God. He could be a monstrosity. He could be a monster. He might even be the Antichrist. We don't know what science is going to do. Jesus said, I am the sum total of all truth. Scientific truth, psychological truth, philosophical truth, religious truth, everything you are searching for to bring peace and joy and happiness and purpose to your life, Jesus said, I am it.
Wow. There's a way to start today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let that just kind of rest inside your soul a little bit.
Yeah.
You talk about putting things into perspective. Good stuff. All right, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Let's take a look at some of the headlines. A couple things going on. The president is urging the Supreme Court now to step into some of this nonsense concerning deportation and to strip protection from about 350,000 Venezuelan migrants. The Justice Department asked the High Court to put on hold a ruling from the federal judge in San Francisco that kept in place temporary protection status for Venezuelans that would have otherwise expired last month. The interesting thing is that the status allows people already in the United States to live and work legally because their native countries are deemed unsafe for return due to natural disaster and civil strife. Now, that sounds very humane, but it absolutely violates everything that we have in place of what it takes to come into this country. You not only jump over the fence, you jump over the process, and you go to the head of the line. So that's going to be the deal. So first of all, they've never proved that sending people back home was a disaster. And the other thing is it gives a clear pass to the bad people.
Yeah.
All right. Yesterday was a shakeup. Waltz is out of the Intelligence Department, and all this has to do with the leak. He and his assistant both were removed, along with other people, inside the National Security Council yesterday. But immediately he was given a promotion. He is going to be the new ambassador to the UN. So he's leaving the Central Intelligence Office and going to become the ambassador in the UN. In the meantime, they've taken the National Security Council and merged it with the State Department and kept Marco Rubio over both of them. And I'm wondering if this is going to last, or is this a logical merge where you take national security and Secretary of State and put them under the same leader? In listening to Marco Rubio, apparently he is pretty sharp on national security. So I don't know if this is a temporary move or a permanent move, but Waltz yesterday was removed from the national security advisor, primarily because, remember, the chat leak that got out and went to the Atlantic editor. Now, I will say this. This seems to be embarrassing for the president. However, if you remember when this story broke, Mike Waltz stepped to the microphone and said, I take full responsibility of this.
I remember, yeah.
And so he realized, whether he intentionally did, it doesn't look like he did, but it did happen under his watch. And so he's the one that pays the price.
The buck stops there. Yeah.
So he's out, and 5 hours later, he's back in. As the ambassador to the UN, which is going to be interesting to me because I still can't figure out why Stefanik, did she remove herself, or was she asked to remove herself?
Right, yeah.
We haven't really heard the answer to that one.
And is this actually a promotion for Waltz?
Is it a promotion? I guess it's how you look at it.
Yeah, I've heard it lit. I was reading a story, he said, why did they promote him after ousting him? It was like, well, I didn't think of it as a promotion, but maybe it is.
It says that the president likes him and wanted to keep him in some capacity. That's what it says to me. I don't know if it is a promotion.
And he sure has visibility in that position.
He'll have more visibility.
Absolutely.
So it's, I don't know. Okay. The other story is the judge, another judge now, a federal judge Thursday, has prevented the Trump administration from deporting alleged Venezuelan gang members from South Texas using what they call the Alien Enemies Act, AEA, and the 18th century law. So another judge, by the way, this judge was appointed by President Trump in the first term. In Texas, which you think would be red, stepped up and threw a roadblock. Okay, I can't help but think that somewhere along the line, the Supreme Court, whether they like it or right now they're avoiding it like the plague, they're going to have to step in and say, wait a minute, all right, district judge having the power to usurp the President of the United States, where does security come in? And these laws that the Biden administration passed on the heels of all of this to protect illegals from coming into the country, can they be usurped by the president's executive orders on dealing with bad people in the country and what they call would be, national security? I don't know. Gosh,
well,
what a mess.
It is a mess, and I hope the Supreme Court doesn't get involved and that they come into this with clear, level heads. But I'll tell you this, I really think that regardless which way this goes, American voters will not hold this against Donald Trump. Donald Trump promised this. He did it. If he is stopped by somebody else, it won't be held against him as not fulfilling and going through with his campaign promises. He's doing it. He's just being stopped.
I think that's a good point. I think that the American people see now what's going on. I'm surprised that they haven't. I'm surprised even President Trump hasn't done this. Why hasn't he mentioned the amount of people that his predecessors removed?
Great point. Great point. He
I mean,
should.
Obama was like $1 million or something.
Take that card out again. Give us a visual.
Take the card out.
Yeah,
Obama
show a
did
picture of the president.
Bush
numbers.
did this.
Yeah, go.
Biden did this.
Hey.
Okay. And they not one injunction filed against him.
Right. I wish you had Donald Trump's private number.
Well, you know.
You could call him and say, hey, here's what you need. Don.
Okay. Well, the president gave a speech last night, and I know you're going to highlight this.
Okay.
I watched part of it.
Okay.
I came in, I was mowing.
Sorry.
I was dirty and tired.
Okay.
And I sat down for a rest, and I happened to check my phone, and it was on my phone app.
Yeah.
So I sat outside, and I watched this, and I'm going, wow, this is insightful.
Yeah.
It's quite a. I know you're going to highlight it, but he gave the commencement exercise or commencement speech at the University of Alabama, but I think the speech says a lot about who he is and why he does what he does.
Yes. Let me ask you this.
And the speech was more social than political.
Yeah, right. It was.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, how was he received by the student body, by the graduating class?
I was shocked. I was waiting for boos.
Yeah.
None.
Really?
None. I mean, they. I'll wait till you highlight.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
You don't expect any invitations to, say, speak at the Harvard graduating class?
Well, you know, I have to laugh. He poked Harvard in the mouth.
Did he poke him? Yeah. Oh, good.
I go, gosh, okay.
Good.
Well, you are in Alabama. You could do it.
Right.
But no, I don't think he's going to get invited to.
I doubt it.
University of San Francisco.
Right.
Or
Yale.
Harvard or Yale.
Right.
Oh. No, I don't think that's coming. Now, whether or not Notre Dame would have him, but even then,
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
The Catholics are a little upset right now.
Yeah.
So.
Oof.
So interesting. But the speech was, you know who he touted last night?
Who?
Norman Vincent Peale.
Oh, did he really?
Because he went to Norman Vincent Peale's church as a young man.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
And he quoted Norman Vincent Peale's book, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Okay.
Now, I know the Christian theologians are going to go crazy with it. I get all that. That doesn't make him a bad guy.
Right.
All right. So what I heard last night is, okay, now I'm beginning to understand a little bit about his tenacity, which is to be measured, but, there it is.
Yeah.
So, all right, truffles being what they are. Have you ever had a natural truffle?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what a natural truffle is?
A natural truffle. Oh, wait a minute.
You go out, you go truffle hunting in the woods?
Right. Tell us what a real truffle is, a natural truffle.
Well, how can I say it? It's like, you got to know how to look for them.
Okay.
And I don't know if they are a form of a mushroom.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Because they're kind of round and
So it's kind of like mushroom hunting. I've seen truffles that way, but have you ever done it? Would you dare eat it?
I'd like to. I probably haven't. Didn't know it.
Do you hunt for mushrooms in the forest?
No.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm afraid to.
Me too.
You'd have to know what you're looking for.
Well, yeah. And how do you know? And you know
after you eat it, if you start seeing things flying around in your room, you know you ate the wrong mushroom.
Enough said.
Okay, we'll be right back.
The walls fall down and our land be healed. But church, if they want to see change in the world out there.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry, LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry, LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Arg, traffic. Everybody hates it.
With 90 million more cars on the road every year.
Private vehicles, buses, pedestrians, bicycles, scooters, whatever.
The way we normally regulate traffic just can't keep up.
The way that we are operating them is remained the same for the last 100 years or so.
How Israel is solving the growing traffic crisis one intersection at a time.
Watch the 700 Club Friday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Okay, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Morning's on the Dove. Jerry's here. That's all that counts.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Well, the president's still doing his thing, and I was wondering when this is going to happen. Now, the interesting part about this story is we're not seeing any hard numbers, but apparently he has decided through an executive order to cut the funding to public broadcasting system and the NPR radio, National Public Radio. Right. So he's cutting it, but he's also gone after the arts that is pretty much funded by federal government. And the big one that really shook things up is, he took over the Kennedy Center.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He fired the board, made himself chairman of the board. Which I guess, I don't know how this stuff was put together.
Yeah.
All right, so he gets rid of all those people, and he cancels the LGBTQ event that was supposed to take place this month. They're up in arms, jumping around.
All right.
And the first event that he has at the Performing Arts Center, they're known as the Kennedy Center, was a complete sellout.
No kidding.
So, but NPR is getting their budget cut. Now, there's very, very argumentative as to how much this is going to be.
Okay.
NPR, PBS will tell you that it's only like 2% or something like that.
Well, then they don't need it, do they?
I guess not.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are they screaming?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I think it comes in other forms. It's called grants. And they get preferential treatment when it comes to grants.
Okay.
I've been in the NPR headquarters. Mm-hmm. It's the very best that money can buy.
Really, yeah.
I mean, here we're doing things here. Uh-huh. We're doing a little remodel here.
Yeah.
And it's stretching everything I got.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could fill out a grant and just have big checks show up.
You mentioned it's the very best money you can buy. Our money.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So I have realized now why President Trump is angered the left.
Okay.
I think it can be summed up in this term.
Okay.
He's derailed the gravy train.
Yes. Yes. You hit it.
He derailed.
Yep.
The gravy train.
He did.
And the residual effect of that is just got a lot of people upset because they were getting free money.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll always tie it to emotion.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see how this plays out. Okay, the other story we have here is our own backyard. As you know, 7 months ago, the House Bill 4002 recriminalized the possession of hard drugs, basically reversing Measure 110.
Right.
Of all 36 counties, Jackson County officials are seeing the best results, both in enforcement and alternative programs aimed at recovery.
Really?
Yes, Jackson County has become one of the most active counties in the state for the drug-related arrests since the new law took effect. And this is hats off to Nate Sickler, who is the Jackson County Sheriff, and his team, which we are fond of.
Yep.
And they have the best. The county has logged more than 800 arrests for misdemeanor drug possession. So this is not the place to do drug business.
Yeah.
They're coming down on it.
Wow.
So Measure 10, which was crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So apparently Sheriff Sickler and the crew are serious and they're enforcing it.
Outstanding.
So I want to say congratulations.
Yes.
This is why we elected you.
Yep.
And
you're doing a great job.
I just say I have high regard for Nate and his team. So congratulations, guys, and stay at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a
thumbs up.
That was a private thumbs up.
That was 2 thumbs up.
Okay, 2 thumbs up. All right, here's thumbs up on the weather.
Yeah.
A little bit of a system. How long does it last? About 8 hours?
Yeah, about. Yeah, and then moving through. It's just, we're going to call it a springtime front. Moving quickly and passing on, and then a change behind it. Springtime-like.
Yeah, like 80s next week.
Yeah. So
82 yesterday, by the way.
Oh man,
it was nice.
It was really nice. Every house is open every window in the house was open yesterday. It was just a little breeze coming through. It was nice and warm. Oh, it was wonderful.
I slept with the door open last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
I slept with my leg elevated last night.
Well,
Sorry. Okay, moving on.
You have one of those beds that do that?
No, I don't. I have. They give you when you have this kind of an operation, they give you this big foam wedgie thing, and it's an elevated. It's got a trench in it, so your leg has got a place, and it's got a ramp up so you can put it up. But your leg is always up. It's always up. I don't know if I'll ever be able to sleep any other way again.
Oh, we don't have your little cushion over there.
No, we're good. We're good. Thank you.
No, we got to get. We have a marshmallow.
No, I'm See, I'm healing. I couldn't do this before without it. Now I'm like.
During the break, we'll get your marshmallow
Look
back.
at that. See? Wait a minute. You can see crutches on the floor. Hey, I don't know about this shot, you guys. It's too revealing. Okay, let's move on.
Legs.
Yeah, speaking of revealing. Yeah, don't call me legs.
Sticks. I'm calling you sticks.
Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned that Donald Trump gave the commencement address at the University of Alabama, and it was an interesting one, and he had a number of great topics in there. We've been kind of talking off to the side about some of the things. I want to go see it because I didn't see the speech. I've seen a couple clips out of it, and including this one where he talked a lot about keeping men out of women's sports, and we do have a clip. Let's listen to the president.
And I love sports, and I think I should have come here. I think I should have come here. Congratulations as well to the women's track and field team for winning 2 SEC titles this year. That's something. As long as I'm president, we will always protect women's sports. Men will not play in women's sports. No way. They say that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's a 97-3 issue, I think. No, men will not be playing in women's sports. I said that, and I classified it with a very powerful executive order, as you know. It's done.
Yeah, if I could stand, I'd give him a standing ovation right now. This is what we need to hear.
His speech last night, now listen, this sounds very pro-Trumpish, but I want you to understand, I learned something from him last night.
Oh, really? Okay.
There are, I think, 7, maybe 8 points to his speech to the students. It had nothing to do with politics. Now, he would move in and out, and he even talked about, see, I'm one of the first presidents that doesn't have to read everything from a teleprompter.
Oh, man.
But anyway, he gave these 7 points about being successful, stay focused, plan your work. He went on and he augmented it with, remember this, that Steve Jobs was 22 when he started Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he started Disneyland. Yeah. He named all these people and their age and how they went out, and changed the world. It was very inspiring, but when you listen through this, you go, okay, now I know what makes this guy tick. And he is saying, he was talking about the power of positive thinking. He also talked about when it was the right time to cut your losses and move on.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I think he let us inside his head a little bit last night. And he tied it up into a commencement speech.
Now I want to go see this even more, the speech.
Well, it was more social than political, but it was Trumpish. I mean, he's, his ego's the size of Texas. I'm surprised they can get his head into a car. Yeah. I'm surprised at everything he's in.
Yeah.
But I mean, but aside, setting all that aside, is that he let us know what drives them. And so I would say, and then when he went off on women's sports like that, that was one of the political things that he did. But you see the response?
Oh, it was amazing.
And this is a university.
It really caught me off guard. I'm really glad to see it.
What was the other one he camped on? don't ignore common sense. Don't ignore your instincts. And he talked about his instincts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He says, high probability that your instincts are correct.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
So when we see something wrong and the Holy Spirit's living in us,
yes,
we have this instinct that that's wrong.
Right.
And that's when you have to make a decision. Are you going to go with it? Or are you going to back away from it?
Yeah.
Well, the devil tell you, well, just a little bit won't hurt because you're strong enough, Christian. You can handle this.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then next, well, you can handle a little more. So and you start bargaining with God, and all of a sudden you think you made a deal with him. You didn't make a deal with him. You violated him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
those are really great points, though. Basic common sense he talked about, and cutting your losses and moving on. These are messages that the DNC should adhere to. Well, you got to learn something from this, huh?
Look, the DNC they've augured in so deep. I don't know if
can they come out. I mean,
I don't. Look, this sounds wishful thinking. I'm trying not to do that.
All right.
We may see a Reagan vote when the second term of Reagan. Mondale only won one state.
Right.
We could see this again.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so much for all that stuff.
Okay.
We're going to go truffle hunting. We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
The Democrat representatives are putting together a field trip. They want to go down and do a welfare check and for a photo op to see. Now, these are the same guys that wouldn't stand for the memory and the parents of Lake and Riley.
Need to say to those people, the government's not paying your trip.
Amen. Yes.
If you're going to go, you pay for it.
This is yours. Absolutely.
We're not paying for it.
Right.
Wake up to information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays.
Well. 1/2 past the hour on a Friday morning that's pretty nice out there. Well, we got a lot of things going on around the world. Let's take a few moments and check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
We begin this half hour in the Middle East. Massive wildfires that swept the hills outside Jerusalem and elsewhere are now under control. Israeli authorities say it's still not clear if most were started by negligence or arson terrorism. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more from Jerusalem.
Careless hikers may have started some of the worst blazes the Jewish nation has had in a decade, but it appears Palestinians may have deliberately set other fires. Authorities have arrested 3 arson suspects so far. Arab social media filled with praise for the fires, and some posts called for setting more blazes. CBN's Raj Nair interviewed Israeli tour guide Ron Lahad on why arsonists would do this, especially on the Israeli holidays of Memorial Day and Independence Day, when Israelis were memorializing fallen soldiers and terror victims.
For some people, anything that hurts Israel, anything that hurts the day, anything that hurts the country, the symbolism,
that's their goal.
Meanwhile, Israeli leaders are watching closely as a fourth round of talks this weekend to halt Iran's nuclear weapons development was postponed. And then President Donald Trump upped the pressure on Iran through more sanctions.
Put sanctions on last night. Any oil that anybody takes from Iran is not allowed to do business in the United States of America.
At the same time, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran will pay a heavy price for supporting Houthi rebels who've been attacking international shipping. On X, he wrote, "We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you are doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequence at a time and place of our choosing." Early Friday, Israel intercepted a Houthi missile. Shrapnel fell in this kindergarten in northern Israel. And Israel is still protecting the Druze people in Syria. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz issued a joint statement confirming Israel struck near the presidential palace in Damascus, saying, "This is a clear message to the Syrian regime. We will not allow the deployment of forces south of Damascus or any threat to the Druze community." Meanwhile, here in Israel, although barbecues were forbidden because of the wildfires, Israelis pressed forward and took to the parks on Thursday to celebrate the country's 77th Independence Day. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Julie. And our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, it's so good to see you. The investigation in the cause of these fires around Jerusalem is still in its preliminary phase. What do we know so far?
Well, we do. There are apparently multiple causes, Wendy. Extreme weather as well was a contributing factor. High winds, there were dry conditions, but a lot of people are pointing both to these campers, perhaps, and arson. As Julie said in her report, the Arab channels were praising the fires and asking for more to come. And they were designed to come on Independence Day. It seemed designed to really put more pressure on the Israeli people as they're facing wars on multiple fronts.
And as we just heard in Julie's report, President Trump, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stepping up the economic and military pressure on Iran, Chris. But the U.S. still trying to get a deal on Iran's nuclear program. Do Israeli leaders still believe this is the best time for a military strike on Iran?
Yeah, many do, Wendy. And here's why. Iran seems to be closer than ever to get a nuclear weapon. The air defenses of Iran have been degraded or destroyed. Many of Iran's proxies are in the region. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, have been degraded, even though just a few minutes ago, Wendy, there were 2 more missiles fired by the Houthis to northern Israel up to the Galilee. But so that they still continue to fire, but very degraded after the U.S. air campaign. Israel is hoping for U.S. backing or participation in a strike against Iran. The wild card, however, is a nuclear deal between the U.S. and Iran. That would really tie Israel's hands. But we do know that right now, the latest round of talks has been canceled, and many people are saying maybe this is the time that Israel and perhaps the U.S. will strike Iran's nuclear program.
Chris, the focus has been on the fires and Iran the last few days, but away from the headlines. Israel is still fighting against Hamas in Gaza. What is the latest on that?
Well, IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir just the other day said Hamas will receive what he called a decisive blow, and they're going to intensify the fighting in Gaza. He believes it's a concerted effort to finish off Hamas militarily, may have more boots on the ground, but the goal is to bring an end to the war, Wendy, and bring all the hostages home, and perhaps that will lead maybe in 6 months or more, a normalization with other countries. But it's important that there would be a victory in Gaza before all those things happen.
Well, there we go.
So is it imminent? Is there a strike brewing on the nuclear capability of Iran?
I think that anything less than that just said that the United States, Donald Trump, Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are full of hot air.
Oh.
If they don't strike, then what they've been telling us, they're full of hot air.
All right. So
they have painted themselves into a corner.
So it's coming, you think?
They cannot afford, and I'm not saying this to protect their credibility,
right? Yeah.
But they cannot afford not to strike and have any credibility left if Iran strikes first with a nuke.
Well, it seems that things are lining up right now.
Yeah.
It seems like it is close.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. All right. Well, we have defined a truffle, and
this is the truffle that you search for in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fungi, and here he is doing the weather.
A springtime front is approaching the top of our region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny for Vancouver and Wilsonville with highs in the low 70s, increasing clouds in Portland with a high near 74, and a slight chance of showers in upper 60s in McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley, sunny in low 70s in Salem, mostly sunny in upper 60s for Albany and Corvallis, increasing clouds in low 70s in Eugene with showers moving in tonight. Increasing clouds across central Oregon today as showers move in this evening. Daytime highs will be in the low 80s for Prineville and mid-70s for Bend and Sun River. In Boise, Idaho, sunny and low 80s. Along the Oregon coast, a front moving in will bring a chance of rain with spots of patchy fog and daytime highs in the low 60s around Coos Bay and low to mid-50s for Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City, California. Increasing clouds in southern Oregon with daytime highs near 77 in Grants Pass and Medford. A slight chance of thunderstorms for both Ashland and the Klamath Basin with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. Into northern California, becoming cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms and near 77 in Wairika. Sunny with daytime highs near 83 in Redding and Chico and near 79 in Sacramento. In the Bay Area, morning patchy fog for Santa Rosa and Napa, then sunny with daytime highs in the low 70s. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the low 60s. And today in San Jose, sunny and 72. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood. On the west side, on the east side, looking westward, and the shadow of the mountain, almost like a static picture. But that is happening now.
Beautiful day.
The only thing we need to do is see is an airplane fly by.
That's right. Okay. Happy Friday to you. Well, you know, one of the advantages of life in a modern world, husbands never have to stop at gas stations to get directions anymore.
They never did.
We never did, but we were always advised to, honey, just stop and get direction. No, I can find it. I'm sure we get. No. Just stop here and get directions.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, now we don't need to. It's called GPS, and it all happened on this day in history. On May 2nd, 2000, a quiet revolution in global technology took place. Not with fanfare, but with precision. U.S. President Bill Clinton announced the end of a policy known as selective availability, which had withheld advanced GPS technology from the public. For years, only the U.S. military could harness the full accuracy of satellite navigation. But now the civilian world gained access to signals up to 10 times more precise. What followed was an explosion in innovation. Navigation for cars, aviation safety, farming precision, even the birth of location-based apps. From May 2nd, 2000 on, the world could quite literally find its way with a clarity never before possible. Well, it's interesting, too, because, we kind of credit Bill Clinton for this, but it was two parts. The first part actually came from Ronald Reagan. In 1983, the Soviets shot down a Korean passenger jetliner as it strayed from its intended route into Soviet prohibited airspace. Now, folks realized that if there was a GPS system, that could have been prevented. It would have kept the airline on track, and this tragedy wouldn't have happened. So Ronald Reagan opened up the GPS system to the public on September 16th, 1983. But there was a catch. The public version would have its accuracy fuzzed to a radius of about 100 meters to ensure that only U.S. military had the best data available, namely for being able to target certain things that that they were going to go after. So it was a fuzzed version. When Bill Clinton unlocked it, basically he said, defuzz this, let's go pinpoint. So it went from 100 meters generally down to where we are now. That's why we can find each other. It doesn't matter where. In fact, I got rescued because of it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I was on the side of the mountain in the trees, in the fog, in a storm, off the beaten path, and called my son and said, he goes, I got you on Friend Finder, and he took a screenshot of where I was on the mountain. He sent it to Ski Patrol so they could come and get me. So that's a result of what we got on this date.
Well, gentlemen, you now have something to blame.
For what?
Well, if you have a GPS, and you don't, and it has been known to send you in a bad direction.
That is true.
All right, so now you have something to blame.
Yeah.
Where heretofore you weren't stopping to get direction.
Right. You know what is a I have, I love survival stories. Oh. I love that podcast kind of thing. One of the problems that has come up is weather conditions, and especially seasonal weather conditions. People have been in traffic jams on freeways and stuff, and they try to find an alternate route to get out of there, and GPS will send them out on a forest road or something like that at the wrong time of year, and people get stuck.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of your conditions. Yes.
We've had the guys going out here in helicopters finding them.
Right. Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, Jerry will still be here.
Just keep moving on. Just keep pushing ahead. Yeah, the new has come. All the old is dead. Just keep moving on.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
Our goal at theDove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at theDove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at theDove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you'd like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
All right, good morning to you. 11 minutes past the hour, before the hour, excuse me. And as you remember, yesterday was the National Day of Prayer. Quite a few events all over the country, and we had some right here in our own backyard. Well, yesterday on Newsmax, they have what they call a White House Faith Director, Jenny Korn, and spoke about the history of the day. And here's what they said.
Back in 1988, the President and the Congress put into law that this day, the first Thursday, should be named the National Day of Prayer. And what better thing to bring people together? We know that when Americans come together, when leaders come together to pray together, then we can do everything else together. And so what you'll see today is about 200 faith leaders from across the country, from multi-faiths. This is an interfaith, wonderful event with multi-prayers from the Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim backgrounds to come together. President Trump will be giving remarks, and we'll also be talking about the White House Faith Office, which is newly created and historic, and also the Religious Liberty Commission. President Trump, like I said, he newly created. It's very historic to have the White House Faith Office in the West Wing as a report to him, working directly with the Domestic Policy Council to make sure that there are policies that affect people of faith, to make sure that there's no bias. For far too long, wrong the federal government and other governments have discriminated against religion. And so it's so important. And I can't tell you the thousands of phone calls, texts, emails that we're getting from people of faith are saying, finally, we have a home. There's somewhere we can go to talk about whether we were targeted by the IRS or by the State Department or by what other, local government. And now they have a voice in their government, and they're so grateful that this White House has welcomed them in, and worship and prayer are welcome in this White House.
Well, it's amazing. More and more people are getting involved. I understand Dr. Phil's going to get involved in the faith department.
Really? Okay.
You have other people that are being invited in, and we saw that during the Easter lunch and dinner thing that they had. So this is healthy. The president is allowed that voice to be heard loud and clear in his decision making. Okay, so it's pretty refreshing.
The White House Faith Office. That's interesting.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I'd like to go and be briefed.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. See what. All right. So Dr. Alex McFarland will be with us. Always good to talk to him. And Frank Gaffney will be coming along. He's president of the Institute of American Future. Let me ask you this: why didn't we hear more about the explosion at the port in Iran?
Yeah. Why didn't we? Yeah.
And what was the cause of it?
Yeah. Right.
Was it something that they messed up and crossed wires and exploded, or was it an attack?
Was an operation, yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder.
We'll talk to him about that.
All right, well, here is a story that is of special interest and inspiration to me. And you may even get a new nickname for me out of this, but here's a guy who didn't let a physical obstacle get in the way of pursuing what he loves to do.
Pegleg Bennett. Yep, that's his legal name. He's 55 years old and was born with a birth defect that led to the amputation of his leg at just 13 months old. But that didn't stop him from becoming a world-class surfer, surfing some of the biggest and best waves around the world. Growing up in Cornwall, England, he adapted quickly, modifying prosthetic legs and charging into waves with determination. Today, he's a pioneer of parasurfing, taking part in several championships. Parasurfing has exploded since the first adaptive surfing world championships in 2015. Team England is now ranked 7th globally, with Cornwall producing multiple world champions. Peg legs, boards, and prosthetics are featured in Surf, an exhibition celebrating 100 years of Cornish surf culture. As for Peg leg, he's still out there chasing swells and says, "Nothing stops me. I just want to keep surfing forever."
Well, there you go, Pegleg Bennett. he actually legally changed his name to Pegleg.
Really?
Yeah, he grew up being called Pegleg his whole life, and he went and had it changed.
Well, good. No, right now you're Sticks.
I'm Sticks. That's my new nickname.
Yeah, your name is Sticks because you won't have them forever.
Yeah, well,
unless you go back up and do that again, stupid thing again.
You know what you said the other day?
What?
Can't fix stupid.
No, but you're determined.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I will say this: congratulations to Mount Ashland. The longest season and one of the highest attended seasons and the most snow. I mean, this past season broke all kinds of records for Mount Ashland.
And they had a lot of obstacles and a lot of things that they had to get through this year. We remember the start of the season, the aerial chair was broken.
Yeah.
And then we continued with high wind situations where they had to close.
Yeah.
Too much snow, what a concept. So they had to close. There were a lot of down days, and yet they still had a record year.
They had a record year. All right, one other note. Get your story in about your mom. 300 words or less. Why your mom makes your home a home. And you can send it to contest@thedove.us. And Mom is going to win. In fact, the basket's in there being wrapped up as we speak.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
And when is Mother's Day?
A week from Sunday. A week from this coming. So we're going to give this away next week. It includes Four Seasons Nursery gift certificate, Rogue Organizers gift certificate, Organic Elements gift certificate, 4 tickets to the Wild Rogue Pro Rodeo. No, Mom, we're not going to put you on a bull or a bareback or a saddle bronc.
Yeah.
Or let you sit in the stands. Gene Getz, Life Essential Study Bible with all the QR codes in it.
Yeah.
Some stuff from the Dove. And so anyway, what you do is you write 300 words or less, keep it down, And I know a lot of you could probably write volumes about your mom. But just send it to us at contest@thedove.us. And next week we're going to draw a name out, and it could be your mom. Okay? All right, take with you Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. I'm sorry that verse is there.
Oh, yeah.
Be consistent in prayer. Or constant in prayer, okay?
Yeah.
So there it is. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Bye. We'll be right back.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escaped fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home from an oncoming wildfire. It's called Defensible Space, and it works. Go to keeporegongreen.org to learn more.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God, His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
Greg Laurie, encouraging viewers to know God and make Him known. Harvest weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to the place where where happiness begins, exists, and explodes.
Especially on this Friday.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
This is where Jerry Bilden
No.
defines himself.
The best 2 hours of my day.
There you go. All right. No, it's actually called Pam Relief.
Oh, that's a whole can of worms. We don't even want to open that. Thanks.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. A lot going on in the news. Beautiful weather. Change for about 20 hours, and then it gets back to some warm temperatures.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Anything special?
Well, it is National Space Day.
Space Day.
Dedicating the first Friday in May to the extraordinary achievements, benefits, and opportunities in the exploration and use of space. And we know there's plenty of that going on these days.
Yeah, well, I'm accused of living there.
Yeah? Do you want to go to Mars?
No.
Yeah, I don't
No,
either.
I don't want to go to Mars.
Sounds like a one-way ticket.
Why do we want? I guess because we can. I guess the only reason is.
Well, you know, Elon wears those T-shirts. Occupy Mars. Remember Occupy Wall Street? Remember that old movement?
Yeah. Occupy Mars.
Occupy Mars. So yeah, I don't know. You know,
you want to open a Tesla factory up there?
I don't know. But of course, as a stepping stone to Mars, you know, we're still looking at the moon. A lot of activity going on in the moon.
I suspect the moon will be colonized.
It may.
Soon.
Yeah, they need to find water, but they're looking for it.
Yeah.
They're looking for that ice down in those craters in the North and the South Pole.
Yeah.
So we'll
they
see
ought to look
that.
for something green first.
If
you don't find green, you're not going to find water.
They ain't going to find any green up there. Everything looks pretty gray, doesn't it?
No, there's a lot of cheese.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the goal is this observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering in the education of young people.
Okay.
Those are things that we should pursue.
We have a space department now.
Yeah. The what's it? Space Force.
Space Force.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. It's School Lunch Hero Day.
Oh, yeah.
It is dedicated to those men and women who make the cafeterias in schools a better place to be. And, you know, I grew up eating in a cafeteria. You did too. How was your cafeteria food?
Well, you know, there were times where it was okay. I loved it when they had chop suey.
Oh, see, that's something we never had in North Dakota. Chop suey? Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chop suey. Yeah, you definitely grew up in a different...
Yeah,
time
but it
zone
was
than me.
normally hot dogs and
Yeah. You
I
know,
know something they called food.
Yeah, we had, you know, a lot of stuff like meatloaf, mashed potatoes, you know, corn and peas and stuff like that.
Did you ever work in the kitchen?
You know what? Not in the cafeteria, but in my mom's kitchen.
Well,
You know, we were the dishwashers.
Okay, but in school, if you were put on detention, you usually got sent to the cafeteria to clean. You had to do the floors, the tables.
You know what? You know what? One of the jobs to clean in our classroom that everybody coveted, everybody wanted to do it, and that was cleaning the chalk erasers for the board. And you go down, they had those things you go, and it would have a brush and then like a vacuum that sucked down the.
Boy, you are really dating us.
I know. Do they have chalkboards anymore?
No.
Does anybody write with chalk anymore?
No, it's whiteboards.
It's whiteboards. The chalk is now on sidewalks with my grandkids.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It does wash off.
Yeah, it comes off.
Yeah.
So anyway, enjoy that. There's also National Truffle Day. N. Petruccelli of Chambéry, France, is believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle in December of 1895. And traditionally, chocolatiers make this sweet confection with a chocolate ganache created or coated in chocolate, icing, cocoa powder, chopped nuts, or coconut. Sometimes they may fill the truffle with other tasty surprises as well. For example, some candy makers include cream, melted chocolate, caramel, nuts, fruit, nougat, fudge, toffee, and more. So, is there a particular truffle you like?
Well, I like them all, and this portion of the morning show brought to you by Harry and David.
Harry and David.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there is also the natural truffle, which is a fungi.
You know what? Is that the natural? I think we saw a picture of a natural.
You could have seen one, and
it is a fungi.
It's a fungus slash mushroom thing.
I was going to say, is it related to a mushroom?
I would think that it would be, but you got to go know what you're looking for because you don't want to go truffle hunting in a cow pasture.
Elaborate.
No, I don't have to.
Okay. Oh my goodness, that's it. Yep, there's your advice for the day this Friday.
Okay. Let's check out what Mr. Truffle doing the weather here.
A springtime front is approaching the top of our region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny for Vancouver and Wilsonville with highs in the low 70s, increasing clouds in Portland with a high near 74, and a slight chance of showers in upper 60s in McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley, sunny in low 70s in Salem, mostly sunny in upper 60s for Albany and Corvallis, increasing clouds in low 70s in Eugene with showers moving in tonight. Increasing clouds across central Oregon today as showers move in this evening. Daytime highs will be in the low 80s for Prineville and mid 70s for Bend and Sun River. In Boise, Idaho, sunny and low 80s. Along the Oregon coast, a front moving in will bring a chance of rain with spots of patchy fog and daytime highs in the low 60s around Coos Bay and low to mid 50s for Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City, California. Increasing clouds in southern Oregon with daytime highs near 77 in Grants Pass and Medford. A slight chance of thunderstorms for both Ashland and the Klamath Basin with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. Into northern California, becoming cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms and near 77 in Wairika. Sunny with daytime highs near 83 in Redding and Chico and near 79 in Sacramento. In the Bay Area, morning patchy fog for Santa Rosa and Napa, then sunny with daytime highs in the low 70s. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the low 60s. And today in San Jose, sunny and 72. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, a beautiful shot coming off the top of Roxanne on the east side of the Rogue Valley looking westward. And if you look at that brown spot way out there, that's the airport. That's where we are. And gorgeous day in the making. Nice out there this morning.
Here's an interesting subject for a lot of people who are walking in faith. Is your walk just going through the motions, or do you actually have faith? Well, here's Billy Graham with a great illustration.
It's the devil's lie to try to get us off base, or religious hypocrisy. There are people that have been told over and over again that, well, they haven't really been told. We've given the implication in the church that if you go to church, you're all right. You may hate the church. You may sit there thinking about the golf game you're going to play afterward instead of what the preacher is saying. But if you'll just go to church and put that 1 hour in a week, that'll cover up for all the rest of the activities of the week. That is one of the devil's biggest lies, because it's a daily business. Did you read about that dog over here in West Virginia, a collie? Nobody knows how or why, but he knows when Sunday comes, and he walks a mile to the Methodist church every Sunday. That's right, it was in the paper the other day. He walks a mile to church, and then when the minister stands at the door and shakes hands with the people, he holds up a paw to shake hands too. Then when the thing is all over and the last person is left, he walks home a mile. Now, I don't know whether anybody taught him or not, but that's what is taking place. But that doesn't make the dog a Christian. And going to church is not the total answer. The answer is Jesus Christ, who said he is the truth. Do you know Christ as your Savior and your Lord?
It's a great illustration.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of dogs in church.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That was a come on. I better get out of that one. All right.
Yes, yeah.
All right, let's go to the news real quick. Some of the top stories. The president's urging the Supreme Court to step in and strip the legal protection from 350,000 Venezuelan migrants. The Justice Department asked the High Court to put on hold a ruling from a federal judge in San Francisco that kept in place temporary protection status for the Venezuelans that would have otherwise expired last month. The status allows people already in the United States to live and work legally, even though they're illegal, to work legally because their native countries are deemed unsafe for return or natural disaster or civil strife. So this was a Biden thing that was done at the last minute.
Right.
And the question is, does this usurp the power of the president from national security reasons? And that's the battle in the court. Supreme Court's going to have to step in. Yesterday was not a good day for the administration because Mike Waltz, who was head of the National Security Council, he was basically the national security advisor. But guess what? He had to step down because of the flack from the chat room that included a journalist from the Atlantic. And this got out of control. A lot of people lost their jobs, and the top guy did. Mike Waltz says this: I take full responsibility for this. And to the point where he stepped down. Now, you're going to hear some pounding going on. I don't know if we're going to survive
That's called progress.
Yeah, it's progress.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, he stepped down, but within hours, he was reappointed, and he's going to be the new ambassador to the UN.
Wow.
In the meantime, what happens to his job is going to be put under the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
So you're going to take the National Security Advisor's position, put it into the Secretary of State. Now, I don't know if this is permanent or temporary, but Marco Rubio is now not only the Secretary of State, he's also going to be the National Security Advisor.
Wow, this kind of elevates Marco Rubio, doesn't it? Because, you know, we have talked, okay, Donald Trump only can serve out this term.
Right.
In a sense, he's a lame duck president, in a sense. And so we look who's next on the horizon. Is it J.D. Vance? Is it Marco Rubio?
I think those two guys are going to be the top contenders.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Don't write me a letter. We all have our letters, or all have our opinions. I think Marco Rubio is going to be a contender in 28.
I think you're right. Yeah.
All right. The other thing is the judge in Texas, who was a Trump appointee judge in Texas, did it again. A federal judge stepped in and preventing the administration from deporting alleged Venezuelan gang members from South Texas. It's under what they call the Alien Enemies Act and the 18th century law. So he invoked that, and here we are in another district court crisis.
Is this boiling down to the validity of that law or his implementation of it? What's the beef?
Well, 2 points here. Okay. I think that the validity of the law, the Supreme Court has to take up.
Okay.
That's a law issue. That's a case issue.
Yeah.
The overreach of the district court or overreach of the district judge is something else that I think the Supreme Court needs to take up.
Yeah.
But Congress can rewrite the jurisdiction of the district courts.
Okay.
So that's one of the gray areas where Congress could get involved on as to what the district court jurisdiction is. In the meantime, the case point, I think, does force it to the Supreme Court. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So much for all that, because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
We had a happy family here.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, I think.
And now where would I be without you? Where would I be? Jesus, you were the voice in the desert, calling me out in the
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828. 71.5 Golf Challenge arrives Saturday, May 17th, with a 4-person scramble, morning and afternoon shotguns, and a 6:30 award social. Register your team to win by April 1st for our early bird special. Score the team player pack for just $20 instead of $100 with code Early Birdie. Become a sponsor and help thousands of kids across Southern Oregon. Visit 715.org or call 541-779-3275 today. Remember, at the 71.5 Golf Challenge, your drive changes lives.
Hi, good morning to you. Happy Friday. You gonna enjoy the weekend? You can't go skiing. The mountain's closed.
No, well, I'm closed. I got a whole bunch of things around the house I'd like to get done, but that's not getting done either. So.
That's all right. Get your grandkids out there.
You know what this is doing? It's. I don't think that my wife needs more patience, but it is testing her patience.
Pam. Milk this, sister. Milk it. The cast will come off. The crutches will go away. And you can send him the bill.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
All right.
All right, good morning to you. Well, a couple of stories. The president, through executive order yesterday, said, yep, he's going to cut federal funding to PBS and NPR. This is a big deal. There's no numbers in this report, which is kind of interesting to me. I hear that? That's called progress. Sorry about that.
Keep it up.
It's right outside the door here. We got a remodel going on. Anyway, he's also taken over a lot of the arts. He's taken over the Kennedy Center. He went there. He let all the board go. The place was almost bankrupt. Puts himself in as chairman of the board. Kicks everything out. Starts it all over. And the first event they had at the Kennedy Center was like, boom, way over the top.
Oh, wow.
So it's saying here, without an exact number, back to NPR and PBS, Public Broadcasting System and National Public Radio, they roughly get $500 million in public money through the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And so, anyway, my conclusion when I read the story is, if I was to sum up what the president's doing, he, across the board, whether it's NPR, PBS, and all that, and I say this gracefully because I think PBS and NPR has some good programming, but it's all bias.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, is that the president has derailed the gravy train.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there are a lot of people that saw what was going on with NPR and PBS years ago. I think I stopped listening to them in like '89.
Yeah.
But do they diminish how much they actually get from the federal government?
Well, look, I think it's if you interview people, it's different across the board. If it's $500 million, okay, it's $500 million, but it's the other stuff. It's the grants for buildings and equipment, and it's amazing. So let them be competitive.
Let me ask.
I think I'm reading the trade magazine,
yeah,
and I can tell you this: that if this actually goes through and has the impact that it may have, this could change some classifications of frequencies within the FCC.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'm watching that.
Okay. Well, why doesn't PBS and NPR, why don't they remedy this themselves, keep the money, and just go middle of the road? Huh?
Well, I don't know. Well, they didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're right. They didn't have to. Yes.
You usually don't do something until you're forced.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Okay. The other story is backyard bragging, and I want to say to Jackson County Sheriff Nate Sickler that after the Measure 110 was reversed earlier this year, the House Bill 4002, which was the recriminalization of drug usage, remember, through Measure 110? All that got pulled off. And Jackson County has become one of the most active and successful counties in the state for drug-related arrests since the law took effect, and as it deals with not only arresting people, but activating alternative programs aimed at recovery. So I just want to say again, I think this sounds very braggadocious, but why not? Because it's true. Jackson County is the best run county of all 36 counties in the state. This is the best run across the board. Not only with our county commissioners, county manager, and now with Nate Sickler as our county sheriff. We have the best right here. So
yes, we do.
Congratulations, Nate. You're doing a great job. God bless you, pal.
Yep. Keep up the great work.
All right, let's take a look at Wall Street. That pounding out there could be Wall Street.
It could be, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Preston over at Smart Lawn. Wow, look at that. This could be from the Alabama speech last night. The Dow went up 350 points. The Nasdaq is up 143 points, and the S&P up over 50 points. Wow.
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of the beginning?
I wonder. Yeah.
That took gold and put it back up to 32.56. Silver's hanging in there at 32.5. And crude oil did come down about 40 cents, $61.24 a barrel.
We're seeing a little bit of wiggle in the crude oil prices this week, but nothing is happening at the pump. I just filled up again, and nothing. Still sitting there for the last couple of weeks.
Let me whisper something in your ear.
What?
West Coast.
West Coast, yeah. Left Left coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, you mentioned that President Donald Trump spoke at the commencement services at the University of Alabama yesterday afternoon. It was interesting. He gave a shout out to the school's SEC champion women's track and field team before igniting a raucous applause by, well, let's listen in to what the president had to say.
And I love sports, and I think I should have come here. Congratulations as well to the women's track and field team for winning 2 SEC titles this year. That's something. As long as I'm president, we will always protect women's sports. Men will not play in women's sports. No way. They say that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's a 97-3 issue, I think. No, men will not be playing in women's sports. I said that, and I classified it with a very powerful executive order. As you know, it's done.
Yeah, but we still see some states and some organizations that are bucking that executive order. I don't know how this is going to play out, especially in a land of judicial activism.
Yeah, you have state governments like governors saying no to it, to the president's executive order, but the school boards within that state saying yes to it. Yeah. So you got that clash going on. Yeah. You got the NCAA clash.
Right.
It really hasn't been resolved.
No, it hasn't. And let's be clear about it. It really is divided blue and red.
Yeah. So, and the universities now are going to have to make up their mind what are they going to do with this. Yeah. Because it's attached to a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so like I said earlier, President Trump has derailed the gravy train.
Yes, he has. Yep.
So,
and boy, what an interesting response from the student body and from those in attendance there. They were overwhelmingly cheering him.
All right, I'm going to go take the hammer away from the carpet. We'll be right back.
I've been set free. I am a gospel preacher.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
The biblical instructions for coming to Christ are repentance and faith. So repentance, that is turning away from your lifestyle of sin, and faith, trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ alone.
There is truth in this world because God created it, and His Word is truth. We see this laid out in the Bible, the foundation to a reasonable faith. And that faith is centered on Jesus Christ and His great work.
Monday, Friday, and Saturday on theDove TV.
Good Friday morning to you. Welcome back to Mornings on the Dove. I am Jerry Bilden. I hope you're having a good morning. We have plenty coming up. We're going to take a look at what you can expect weather-wise through the weekend. Also, we got some excellent coverage with Megan Barth coming up. But right now, time to take a look at CBN News.
This is CBN News Watch.
We begin this half hour in the Middle East. Massive wildfires that swept the hills outside Jerusalem and elsewhere are now under control. Israeli authorities say it's still not clear if most were started by negligence or arson terrorism. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more from Jerusalem.
Careless hikers may have started some of the worst blazes the Jewish nation has had in a decade, but it appears Palestinians may have deliberately set other fires. Authorities have arrested 3 arson suspects so far. Arab social media filled with praise for the fires, and some posts called for setting more blazes. CBN's Raj Nair interviewed Israeli tour guide Ron Lahad on why arsonists would do this, especially on the Israeli holidays of Memorial Day and Independence Day, when Israelis were memorializing fallen soldiers and terror victims.
For some people, anything that hurts Israel, anything that hurts the day, anything that hurts the country, the symbolism, that's their goal.
Meanwhile, Israeli leaders are watching closely as a 4th round of talks this weekend to halt Iran's nuclear weapons development was postponed. And then President Donald Trump upped the pressure on Iran through more sanctions.
Put sanctions on last night. Any oil that anybody takes from Iran is not allowed to do business in the United States of America.
At the same time, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran will pay a heavy price for supporting Houthi rebels who've been attacking international shipping. On X, he wrote, "We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you are doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequence at a time and place of our choosing." Early Friday, Israel intercepted a Houthi missile. Shrapnel fell in this kindergarten in northern Israel. And Israel is still protecting the Druze people in Syria. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz issued a joint statement confirming Israel struck near the presidential palace in Damascus, saying, "This is a clear message to the Syrian regime. We will not allow the deployment of forces south of Damascus or any threat to the Druze community." Meanwhile, here in Israel, although barbecues were forbidden because of the wildfires, Israelis pressed forward and took to the parks on Thursday to celebrate the country's 77th Independence Day. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Julie. And our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, it's so good to see you. The investigation and the cause of these fires around Jerusalem is still in its preliminary phase. What do we know so far?
Well, we do. There are apparently multiple causes, Wendy. Extreme weather as well was a contributing factor. High winds, there were dry conditions, but a lot of people are pointing both to these campers, perhaps, and arson. As Julie said in her report, the Arab channels were praising the fires and asking for more to come. And they were designed to come on Independence Day. It seemed designed to really put more pressure on the Israeli people as they're facing wars on multiple fronts.
And as we just heard in Julie's report, President Trump, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stepping up the economic and military pressure on Iran, Chris. But the U.S. still trying to get a deal on Iran's nuclear program. Do Israeli leaders still believe this is the best time for a military strike on Iran?
Yeah, many do, Wendy. And here's why. Iran seems to be closer than ever to get a nuclear weapon. The air defenses of Iran have been degraded or destroyed. Many of Iran's proxies are in the region. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, have been degraded, even though just a few minutes ago, Wendy, there were 2 more missiles fired by the Houthis to northern Israel up to the Galilee. But so that they still continue to fire, but very degraded after the U.S. air campaign. Israel is hoping for U.S. backing or participation in a strike against Iran. The wild card, however, is a nuclear deal between the U.S. and Iran. That would really tie Israel's hands. But we do know that right now, the latest round of talks has been canceled, and many people are saying maybe this is the time that Israel and perhaps the U.S. will strike Iran's nuclear program.
Chris, the focus has been on the fires and Iran the last few days, but away from the headlines. Israel is still fighting against Hamas in Gaza. What is the latest on that?
Well, IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir just the other day said Hamas will receive what he called a decisive blow, and they're going to intensify the fighting in Gaza. He believes it's a concerted effort to finish off Hamas militarily, may have more boots on the ground, but the goal is to bring an end to the war, Wendy, and bring all the hostages home, and perhaps that will lead, maybe in 6 months or more, a normalization with other countries. But it's important that there would be a victory in Gaza before all those things happen.
Okay, well, one day we'll turn the TV on and there it'll be.
Well, yeah, and I look at those fires that are going on there, and they're talking about where do they start, who's starting them. Then I look at our propensity for fires, especially on the West Coast. Is there an element of domestic terrorism that's going to rear its ugly head in that form?
Great question. I think if it is terrorism, they probably look at some things like the humidity.
Sure.
And winds.
Yes. Yeah.
And but I can't say that these are, but I find it very interesting that they're seemingly circling Jerusalem.
Right, and we saw some really strange activity in Southern California last year with the fires, so I don't know.
And here.
And here,
We still haven't got the final report on ours.
Right.
I
don't know.
Okay. Well, not quite the final report, but it's a good one.
A springtime front is approaching the top of our region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny for Vancouver and Wilsonville with highs in the low 70s, increasing clouds in Portland with a high near 74, and a slight chance of showers in upper 60s in McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley, sunny in low 70s in Salem, mostly sunny in upper 60s for Albany and Corvallis, increasing clouds in low 70s in Eugene with showers moving in tonight. Increasing clouds across central Oregon today as showers move in this evening. Daytime highs will be in the low 80s for Prineville and mid 70s for Bend and Sun River. In Boise, Idaho, sunny in low 80s. Along the Oregon coast, a front moving in will bring a chance of rain with spots of patchy fog and daytime highs in the low 60s around Coos Bay and low to mid 50s for Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City, California. Increasing clouds in southern Oregon with daytime highs near 77 in Grants Pass and Medford. A slight chance of thunderstorms for both Ashland and the Klamath Basin with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. Into northern California, becoming cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms and near 77 in Wairika. Sunny with daytime highs near 83 in Redding and Chico and near 79 in Sacramento. In the Bay Area, morning patchy fog for Santa Rosa and Napa, then sunny with daytime highs in the low 70s. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the low 60s. And today in San Jose, sunny and 72. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Southern Oregon. If you're watching on the Dove radio today, we have a western view of the beautiful Rogue Valley. Gorgeous.
I have a question for you. It's a shadow question. Can we go back to that shot, please?
Yeah. Okay.
Look at this. Okay, so you see the mountain, and the mountain is diminishing as the sun comes up.
Right.
What's that thing sticking off to the side? What is that shadow?
That's the shadow of the mountain below it.
Thank you very much. That cleared that up. Moving on. Like you said, you can't fix stupid.
You didn't have your leg up high enough.
Okay, well, moving on. One of the advantages of living life in a modern world is now husbands never have to pull into a gas station to get directions. Oh man, that was so suggestive, and it suggested to me many times in my life. The other thing too is we don't have to carry atlases in the car anymore. Remember we carry atlas?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the glove box filled with maps and stuff. And you go into a gas station, you get your zonal map, for the town or the county that you're in. Things have changed with GPS.
So, do you have the GPS that talks to you?
Well, yeah. So in your phone, it talks to you.
Okay, but I mean...
in my car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're driving along, and all of a sudden... And I tested this one time because we were in a rental car in Atlanta. And driving Atlanta, it's like 10 lanes going in the same direction.
Yes.
They are really sophisticated. Move over. Move over 2 lanes.
Right, yes. Yes, right.
You know, I'm going, wow,
And
if I didn't have that, I would have missed everything.
I know. Even Maps is doing that now in our phones, and because we have Bluetooth into our cars.
Yeah.
So what do you use? Because I have GPS in my car. I have GPS on my phone. Which one do you prefer to use?
Well, I like Google Maps.
Yeah, I like to use my phone.
Yeah. So but I have to tell you, as a pilot, what we call glass. And it for aviation, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing, too, that's going on with GPS, and you mentioned it'll tell you got to move over the right 2 lanes or whatever, it gives you a warning.
Yeah.
It buzzes you on your watch, too.
Yeah, I know.
So you got all this input going on, and in the middle of it, I'm trying to carry on a conversation with Pam and be engaged.
Okay, now wait a minute.
What?
You just hit the nail on the head.
What?
Your phone's buzzing.
Uh-huh.
Your dashboard's yelling at you.
Right.
And your wife wants to know, what do you think of my shoes?
Right. Yep. Hey, but we don't have to pull into a gas station to ask directions anymore.
No, but when you get there, you're dead tired.
Well, it all happened and changed on this day in history.
On May 2nd, 2000, a quiet revolution in global technology took place. Not with fanfare, but with precision. U.S. President Bill Clinton announced the end of a policy known as selective availability, which had withheld advanced GPS technology from the public. For years, only the U.S. military could harness the full accuracy of satellite navigation. But now the civilian world gained access to signals up to 10 times more precise. What followed was an explosion in innovation. Navigation for cars, aviation safety, farming precision, even the birth of location-based apps. From May 2nd, 2000 on, the world could quite literally find its way with a clarity never before possible.
Stay in history.
Right.
But now, and also, we talked about that was kind of a Bill Clinton thing, but it really was preceded by Ronald Reagan, because in '83, the Soviets shot down a Korean passenger jetliner, and because it had strayed off of its intended course into restricted airspace, when they shot it down, but they decided that the GPS technology that was available would have prevented that.
Yeah.
So Ronald Reagan allowed a fuzzy version of GPS. A fuzzy version, I mean, because it didn't pinpoint down to an exact location. It went down to about 100 meters.
Yeah.
And so he made that available. And then on this day in 2000, Bill Clinton opened up the exact version of it. So now we get it in our cars, and we get it in our apps. And that's the other thing, too, is our apps are tracking us because of GPS. So there's good and there's also bad on this side too, because they're tracking, they know where you're going. In fact, why is it when I get in my car and I sit down, it tells me where I'm going and how many minutes it's going to take to go there.
Yeah.
Am I living my life in a pattern rut so it can predict where I'm going?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, it does memorize your most common areas.
Yeah, it does.
So you're either going to work or you're going home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When it tells you how many minutes it's going to take you to get there, did you take that as a challenge and say, I can beat that? Sorry.
I got caught in a speed trap the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
And
It kind of ticked me off.
Oh. Okay. Oh,
So I've become very cautious now.
All right. Well, it's a good thing to do. Yep. We've all
I
been
just think
there.
speed traps are the worst public relation thing that a city can do. Come to our town so we can give you a ticket.
Yeah. Hey, I had a buddy that called me up, and he was asking about a certain municipal police force, and he felt like he had been, profiled.
Oh.
He had been profiled, and they followed him almost all the way home before they pulled him over. And I said, profiled? You're a redneck in a pickup truck. What is there to profile?
A redneck in a pickup truck. Okay. All right. So have we redefined illegal?
Yes, we have.
I've asked Megan Barth about this, and here's what she had to say.
Okay.
Well, it's been watered down purposely so much by the mainstream media because of Democrats. the mainstream media is supposed to be here to keep people in power accountable. They are supposed to provide citizens with the truth. They are supposed to at least provide a stepping stone to get to the truth, right? Investigate, etc. The mainstream media has failed the American people. The Democrats have fed the mainstream media false talking points and also a manipulation of the language, which is what communists do. So I remember this is, 10 years ago, probably. I was on the radio. I was hosting a radio show out of Las Vegas, and I was speaking to the chair of the DNC at the time, and I don't recall his name. But nonetheless, I was speaking about illegal immigration, and he said, no person is legal. And this is 10 years ago. And I said, well, sir, if no person is illegal, then I suggest you guys change the law. Because in the law, it specifically says an illegal alien to the United States. So what the Democrats have done is simply manipulated the language in order to get the outcome that they wanted, and in turn bastardize anyone that dare uses the language that is in black and white in our federal and state statutes.
Yeah, they do change the language, and they eliminate words like illegal, alien, now it's migrant.
And undocumented.
And undocumented, that's perfect, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Well, okay. That's why you go truffle hunting. We'll be right back.
I can't get over what you've done for me. That's why I gotta sing. I can't get
Black Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level, Black Flag Armory in Midford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
What happens when people hear an audio Bible in their own language for the very first time?
I still remember an old man in the village. We just finished the Bible. We have it in audio. It's the story of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Would you like to listen? And the old man, 94 years old, said, I have never heard of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That day he did. That day he accepted Christ.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
How y'all doing out there? All right. Sorry about all the noise here today. Our remodel. By the way, I just want to say to all of you that helped us, thank you, thank you, thank you. We went over our goal by about 6%.
All right.
So we're very grateful. And all this banging here going on, I can't stop progress. Yes, I asked them, could you guys start later in the day? No. Could you start an hour later? No.
Uh-huh.
And the response is, do you want it done? Yes.
Yeah. Get her done.
Don't get me wrong. The great crew out there. Yeah. And so we had to kind of play around with it. But I just want to say the construction part we budgeted when then we were asking you to help us with some equipment. And so often when you take on projects like this, they take on their own life.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I literally stood out in that room for hours making decisions on the fly because what we planned wouldn't work.
Really? Really?
Yeah, because we're dealing, when you're retrofitting a building, you just look at it in the big picture, and then all of a sudden there's a beam up there, there's a wire running this way, you got AC going this way, and you got all this stuff going on. So I'm out there standing in the room making decisions, praying to God, I hope this is the right one to make.
Well, you made a good comment and an illustration not long ago about what's going on here. It's like changing engines on an airplane.
Yeah, it's like we're in flight and we're replacing an engine. That's kind of what's going on.
I love it.
We're flipping the building, so all the noise over there is under construction, so we can move the studio over there and be quieter. And then this in here will be more administrative, but it's a big project after being in this building for 11 years. But look, folks, I want to say to our viewers and listeners, thank you. Your response to our spring appeal was humbling, and I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
We can't do this without you, and you responded, and it's going to take us quite a while to get this wrapped up. Everybody's, when are you going to be done? I took done off the table. I want it done right, and so probably this fall we'll have the open house, but my goal is to get it done. Yeah. Then we got to work with it and adjust it and make sure it works. And then in the meantime, equipment went out, and then we had some equipment that became obsolete right underneath our nose. The company buys it out and not going to service it anymore. All of those things. So I'm not complaining, it's just life, and that's what we have to deal with. But you folks responded, and I just want to say thank you from all of us here at the Dove. Our board thanks you, I thank you, our staff thanks you. You guys are great. All right, yesterday was the National Day of Prayer. What does that day mean? Well, Jenny Korn, she's with the Faith Office. Here's what she had to say.
Back in 1988, the President and the Congress put into law that this day, the first Thursday, should be named the National Day of Prayer. And what better thing to bring people together? We know that when Americans come together, when leaders come together to pray together, then we can do everything else together. And so what you'll see today is about 200 faith leaders from across the country, from multi-faiths. This is an interfaith, wonderful event with multi-prayers from the Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim backgrounds to come together. President Trump will be giving remarks, and we'll also be talking about the White House Faith Office, which is newly created and historic, and also the Religious Liberty Commission. President Trump, like I said, he newly created. It's very historic to have the White House Faith Office in the West Wing as a report to him, working directly with the Domestic Policy Council to make sure that there are policies that affect people of faith, to make sure that there's no bias. For far too long, the federal government and other governments have discriminated against religion. And so it's so important. And I can't tell you the thousands of phone calls, texts, emails that we're getting from people who are faith are saying, finally, we have a home. There's somewhere we can go to talk about whether we were targeted by the IRS or by the State Department or by what other, local government. And now they have a voice in their government, and they're so grateful that this White House has welcomed them in, and worship and prayer are welcome in this White House.
Yep.
You know what's interesting about the Christian faith?
What?
It's the only faith that tolerates I shouldn't say tolerate. It's the only faith that will defend other faiths to practice their faith.
That is the truth. Yes. Yes. Yep.
It's the only faith that will defend the other faiths for practicing their faith. Just thought I'd mention that.
That's a good point. And I got to say this, in spite of the fact that we are split in some ways through denominations, I know that there are many churches, including ours, who pray actively for other churches and pray with the congregation for other churches by name and other pastors as well.
Ours does the same thing.
Right.
They mention a pastor and a church every Sunday. Not even close to the denomination or the affiliation that the church is a part of.
Exactly.
So that's the unity of the faith. But the Christian faith, universal in its whole form, is the only faith that supports another faith to practice their faith.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Now, we can disagree philosophically and theologically all day long.
Yeah.
But this is called freedom in Christ. And so, anyway, I don't need to go down that road. I'm already in trouble.
It's okay, though.
All right, what do you got there?
Well, here's a story that got my interest because I can relate to it. It is a sense of inspiration for me, and hopefully not a new nickname for me.
No, you're Sticks.
But yeah, I'm Sticks. Yeah, some dogs don't like it, do they? No, I know. It's weird. But anyway, here's a guy who didn't let a physical obstacle get in his way of pursuing what he loves to do.
Pegleg Bennett. Yep, that's his legal name. He's 55 years old and was born with a birth defect that led to the amputation of his leg at just 13 months old. But that didn't stop him from becoming a world-class surfer, surfing some of the biggest and best waves around the world. Growing up in Cornwall, England, he adapted quickly, modifying prosthetic legs and charging into waves with determination. Today, he's a pioneer of parasurfing, taking part in several championships. Parasurfing has exploded since the first Adaptive Surfing World Championships in 2015. Team England is now ranked 7th globally, with Cornwall producing multiple world champions. Peglegs, boards, and prosthetics are featured in Surf, an exhibition celebrating 100 years of Cornish surf culture. As for Pegleg, he's still out there chasing swells and says, "Nothing stops me. I just want to keep surfing forever."
How about that? He's an instructor. He's been involved in championships. He's in his mid-50s, and he just keeps on going. So go, Pegleg.
Pegleg.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, you're Sticks.
I'm Sticks, all right.
Yeah. I can hear those clinking of your crutches.
I will also be a TSA target.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're looking back on it now. At the moment, it was quite serious, but most of these things really are. But you got 2 plates and 12 screws.
12, yeah, 2 plates, 12 screws.
Those are the ones in your leg.
Yeah, and they're not coming out. Yeah, and none of them are loose. There, there. Yes.
Okay. Well, you're doing great, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking good. Doing great.
Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to remind you, we're doing something very special for Mom's Day, and that's coming up the 13th of May, and we'll announce the winner of this coming up next week on the 8th of May, and this is what it is. We're asking you to write a little dossier about your mom, 300 words or less, and about what makes your mom makes your home a home. And it's pretty amazing. So you can write that and send it to contest@thedove.us, contest@thedove.us. If you just go to the Dove website, you'll see that as well. And so write us a little story about your mom,
Yeah.
Now, I know that some of you could write forever. And somebody asked me the other day, so if it's 301 words, you can throw me out? Yes.
Oh. Who's counting? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I guess what we're saying, come on, consolidate it. Okay.
Okay. Speaking of Mother's Day, all right, I wanted to bring up, I know a fellow who I asked once, I said, "Are you going to do something special for Mother's Day?" And he goes, "Why? It's my kid's mother, not mine." I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me? Really?" So let's talk about spousal involvement in Mother's Day.
If you have a half a brain, if you got a tenth of a brain,
yes, right,
and you're still taking in oxygen, you better do something.
You know what came to my mind when he said that?
What?
Dude, with that attitude, I can't believe you have kids.
Well, now there you go. Yeah.
And now with that in mind then, especially if you've been married for a while and you've gone through a lot of Mother's Days, kind of like birthdays too, but maybe even more so on Mother's Day, what do you get? What are good gift ideas for husbands who are looking for Mother's Day gifts for their spouses?
You go to Four Seasons to get something.
Absolutely. You know what? I've specialized in hanging baskets for years.
Okay, so you can go there, or it doesn't have to be a whole lot.
Yeah.
But they have these new cards now that spring up and they're like 3D flowers. Have you seen those?
Yep.
Alice has got one at her desk there. Right, Alice? It springs up. It's got the like a 3D, and they're really beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful. Yep.
Well, do something.
But you hit it on the nose, and I got to say this. It really doesn't matter what I've ever bought Pam for Mother's Day. Just the act of doing it is what counts.
Yeah.
That is, you went to the time, you thought it out, you went and executed your plan, and you pulled it off. That's what it's about.
So, if your mother wins this basket, it's big.
Yeah.
You got a gift certificate from Four Seasons Nursery. Nursery, yeah, where you can go get the hanging basket, I guess. Rogue Organizer. Have you seen that show?
No.
Peggy got hooked on it. I go, why in the world are you watching this dumb thing?
Really? Well, what is it?
It's people that go into a messy house and organize it.
Oh, golly. Really?
So if you got a room or a house or a garage or a closet that's not working.
You just hit the magic one right now, closet. Pam is threatening to go into my closet right now.
All right, so these companies, these groups come in, or these individuals come in and they look, and they specialize in organizing it. And I thought, gosh, okay, I get it, because I'm a needy, but I just...
Yeah.
All right, organic elements.
Yeah.
They're at the spa, the certificate there for that. Here's the one, 4 tickets to the Wild Rogue Pro Rodeo coming up May 15th through the 17th.
Yeehaw.
So you can put Mom in there, and she's not, no, this isn't the ticket to ride the bull.
All right, good.
Jean gets Essential Study Bible with the 1,500 QR codes. Leather, beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw in some Dove mugs and some other stuff.
All right.
So go to the Dove contest at thedove.us. Write us an essay about your mom. I take with you Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be patient in tribulation. Be patient in tribulation. Did I tell you that in tribulations you got to have a lot of patience there,
brother. All right.
And be constant in prayer. So rejoice in hope. Patient in tribulation. Constant in prayer. All right. Good stuff.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory. Make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Arg, traffic, everybody hates it.
With 90 million more cars on the road every year.
Private vehicles, buses, pedestrians, bicycles, scooters, whatever.
The way we normally regulate traffic just can't keep up.
The way that we are operating them is remained the same for the last 100 years or so.
How Israel is solving the growing traffic crisis one intersection at a time.
Watch the 700 Club Friday morning at 11 on the Dove TV. If you enjoy the Dove TV, tell a friend or family member. If they can't receive a signal, the Dove streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at theDove.us. Help encourage someone who needs hope. Spread the word about the Dove TV. Greg Laurie, encouraging viewers to know God and make Him known. Harvest weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and been looking forward to having back with us Pastor Lucas Miles. He's really quite the guy. He's the host of the Lucas Miles Show and Epoch TV's Church and State programs. He has been a pastor for over 20 years out of South Bend, Indiana. He's also a faculty member, an apologist there with Summit Ministries, which is a great organization unto itself. He's the author of several books, and his latest one called Woke Jesus. And there's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there, Woke Jesus. By the way, this is a fascinating read. And he does have a website, lucasmiles.org, lucasmiles.org. And there's a picture of the landing page. Pastor Miles, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Hey, good to see you. Been too long.
Been too long. Yeah, man. You're a busy guy.
Trying. Yeah, you know, in addition to what you shared, I've added one more thing, I guess to the resume. So this past summer, I ended up joining the team over at TP USA Faith, which is the faith arm of Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk. And so I now oversee our faith efforts there, working with Charlie, in addition to still pastoring and everything else that you mentioned. So it's a lot of things, but exciting stuff happening.
That's great. Well, congratulations. Good stuff all the way around. Let me know how many hours it takes for you to sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to get as much as I can, but some days are better than others.
Okay. Hey, for those who don't know, what is woke Christianity?
Yeah, woke Christianity it's really a misnomer. I mean, anytime we put something like Marxism and try to insert it into Christianity, it doesn't work. They're not conducive to actually any sort of saving grace in our life. But woke Christianity is a modern term that has been used to describe sort of the addition of progressivism, Marxism, whether we call it liberation theology, all of these things that's added and injected into Christianity in an attempt to sort of please these cultural paradigms, but still keep one foot within Christian orthodoxy. It doesn't work very well. And it's confused a lot of people, and I think unfortunately it's leading many people to hell. And so we've combated that very strongly, standing up against these really heretical positions, that we're seeing promoted by certain churches and religious structures right now.
It seems to be popular, and it gathers large crowds, and you kind of wonder, what are we doing here? It's how are we going to help these people from falling off the cliff, so to speak?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've said, in my book Woke Jesus, that I do think that woke Christianity in the long term is self-refuting. Marxism requires a vehicle; it's a parasite, and so it has to attach itself to something else. So we see democratic socialism is where Marxism has attached itself to the free market or to capitalism because it needs that sort of carrier oil, we might call it, in order to get from one place to the next. Christianity is not a very good vehicle for Marxism because the basic tenets of Christianity, eventually, if you study them long enough, it will refute the Marxist worldview that's attached to it. And so I think that we're not seeing progressive Christians organize very well. We're not seeing them stay together. We're not seeing them overly unified. They pop up as lone wolves online and they comment on things. And there's certainly some churches out there that are mainline churches that might still get denominational money that will fly a BLM flag or a rainbow flag above the cross. But I don't think they're picking up steam near as much as what people have said. There is a lot of deconstruction, but I think mostly this is people using Christianity as propaganda to try to push Marxist ideals, and it's really a lot of smoke and mirrors there.
Okay, so as you know, the president has really come down hard on anti-Semitism, and just yesterday he's now looking into executive orders that would be anti-Christianity within government organizations, at least those biases against our faith. This is pretty significant, don't you think?
It's absolutely significant. I had the honor of actually being in D.C. at the White House on Friday this past week. I was there with the Faith Office, and that's the team that's really heading up a lot of these, I think, initiatives that we're seeing to protect religious freedom, to protect against Christian persecution, as well as persecution against other religious groups as well. That's as Christians, we're one of the few, people on earth that protect people not, of our own faith, because of our faith. It is because of the faith that we have in Jesus Christ that causes us to protect people of other faith, although we don't hold that they have necessarily a saving knowledge, of God. And so the Faith Office, I'm not a formal member or anything like that, but I was able to get a briefing with what they're doing and hear from them. I can't share necessarily all of what they're working on, but I was quite impressed with what I saw. And I think that we have, strong evidence that this administration, as well as this president, is making protecting Christians very high on his list right now.
How do we, Lucas, how do we draw the line safely? And I guess equally, I don't know if that's the right term either, but how do we draw the line of not watering down the gospel in light of social justice issues?
Yeah, I think that, it's important to recognize that all things that we might consider error or heresy, that they always start with some element of truth. And I think that, even right now, let's say we take an issue like, radical environmentalism. There's obviously a heretical position. I mean, you take it far enough, it becomes earth worship. But there's a true principle that's at the start of that, persuasion, and that is the stewardship of the planet. And now that's a biblical idea. We can work with that. And so I think that we need to help people. And, you look at say, the millennial generation that has become, well known for their environmentalist efforts. I think that you can go to them. It's, much the same way that Paul did to the Athenians and said, hey, this God here, this unknown God that you have, let me tell you all about him. And I think that we can look at some of these things and say, hey, this passion that you have for environmentalism, I think you're way off track, but let me tell you what's really behind that and what's the biblical idea there that should be shaping and driving that. And I think if we have convincing arguments and there's relationship there to back that up, I think that, we can be effective in winning people over, and certainly we're seeing that.
How do we protect the integrity of the gospel message in light of pluralism?
Yeah, so there's always a tension between, what we might call liberty and virtue. These are things that, as a Christian, I want both liberty and virtue, not just for myself, but for everyone around me and for our nation. And the Bible does say that, very explicitly that we need to seek the welfare of the nation that we live. But there's always a tension between liberty and virtue, because if you truly hold to liberty, eventually virtue is something that we have to decide which direction we're going to lean. If we try to force virtue, we will lose something of liberty. If we hold fast to liberty, we will have to sacrifice something in regards to virtue. I don't want another Inquisition. I don't want another crusade. I don't want the government, running the church, and I don't want the church running the government. I want to see a groundswell of people's lives that are transformed and touched by God, and a great revival take place in this nation to such an extent that it begins to shape the zeitgeist, the ethos, the frameworks within our nation to bring people back to the Lord. And I think it's only by holding fast to liberty that we have any chance of seeing virtue happen as a result of the true volition of someone's heart rather than through coercion or force.
So do you think we could see revival?
I think we could make an argument that we're seeing it. I think that there are some markers here to show that, if the third Great Awakening hasn't started already, it's close to. We have the universities that have just maintained tremendous moments of revival. We have mass baptisms that have taken place, like in California. We've seen that at universities like Ohio State. We have the events like Asbury of last year that took place. I think we're also seeing a unity that's taking place. With my work with Turning Point USA, we just had 1,800 faith leaders from across denominational lines that gathered together at a church in Georgia. to have 3 days of learning and prayer, worship, etc. And it was powerful. I can't think of another instance where pastors across denominational lines are gathering in those kind of numbers. And I think there's a real hunger right now for to see God, really have His way in our nation, and for us to return to righteous principles and laws. And I think, though, that we still have a lot of work to do. We can't give up. We have to continue preaching the gospel every single day. But I think we bring revival as we testify to who Christ is, and we demonstrate Him through our actions and deeds, and through power as well, and in prayer. And so I think all of that continues to lend itself towards a true spiritual transformation in the land.
That's beautifully said. Do you think, in light of what you're just explaining here, do you think there is also a part of that being a genuine seeking of the transcendence of God?
Yeah, I think that we have a generation right now that has the dilemma of trying to decipher between two very strong positions. And historically, every time that you have a generation that is in that position, we could point to the clashing of Aristotelian ideas with Plato, or with Augustinian ideas with Thomas Aquinas. These were in some ways polar opposite perspectives of how to approach a problem. And the generation to follow usually falls into an age of skepticism. And I think we see that specifically with the millennial generation. There was just a tremendous age of skepticism and deconstruction. What we're seeing, though, now with Gen Z is different. I think that they are in a place to where they are craving, again, absolute truth. I think they're a craving objective morality. I think they're looking at all the foolishness around them, and they're going, "You guys are crazy. There is such a thing as men and women, and these are definable terms, and there is a such thing as objective morality." And these are the groups that we're seeing show up in massive numbers. Charlie Kirk goes around the country as I work with him and for him, and he's gathering 10,000, 15,000 students at some of these campuses that are coming because they have a hunger and a craving for not just conservative ideals, but also for spiritual truth. And they're finding that there. And so we're seeing a move right now among this new generation. I'm very optimistic of that.
What's interesting about that, because, normally you think people go to college to learn objective thinking, when really college over the last several years has been propagandizing people. Yeah. But it seems like the students are breaking away from the college faculty and say, wait a minute, we do want to think outside the box. What is truth? I mean, this is kind of refreshing.
It is. And look, I went to 4 years of college myself, but ended up with a 2-year degree at the end of that process. I think in many ways I'm a success story showing that it's not the degrees on your wall that determine necessarily your success in life. I've done 1,000+ media interviews as an expert on multiple subjects. I've published. I just turned in my 4th solo book. I've been part of multiple compilation books. A lot of the groups and teams that I work with, I'm one of the few people that don't have a PhD or some sort of master's degree in the field in which they're speaking about, and I'm very grateful for that. It's only by the grace of God. But I would also say that there's ways to some degrees, some programs of study require going to get a degree. I want my doctor to have a degree. I want my aerospace engineer to have a degree for the airplane that I'm flying on. But I think that we've seen college move a lot towards meaningless programs. You have how much feminist studies and gender studies and things like that have really not provided any value. And in fact, they've just only confused and deconstructed our Western way of life, and they've made society worse as a result of them. And so I think that going to school for the right things is beneficial. But there's lots of ways in other programs to find good mentors, to do self-study, and to really still pursue those dreams that you have. And I think my life's a testament of that.
Well, good for you. A big amen to that. Do you think, looking back through your book there, Woke Jesus, do you think there is a theological divide going on in the American church?
Yeah, I think there's actually a theological divide that's greater today than it was during the Protestant Reformation. I think that Protestants and Catholics have way more in common than what Christians do with the woke church or with progressive Christians or the Christian left or whatever you want to call that. And that is a theological divide for sure. I do think it's exposing itself. I think that it's starting to morph. I actually have a new book that's coming out this summer called Pagan Threat, Confronting America's Godless Uprising. And I think that this is the direction that wokeism's taking. I think that that theological divide, because it's self-limiting, eventually, if you're either going to pursue more woke thought or you're going to pursue more the Christian side of it, if you pursue the Christian side of woke Christianity, you'll eventually, reject and refute the woke ideas that you formerly held on to. You'll repent of that. But if you let go of Christianity and you dive deeper into wokeism, it will eventually lead you into paganism. And I think we're seeing a major uptick right now, not simply in progressive Christianity. I think we're seeing it in tarot cards, witchcraft, pagan revivalism. And I think that those are the things that we have to be more focused on right now in many ways. And I think that ties into a lot of the radical environmentalism and globalism that we're seeing today. And I think that, the church still has some battle ahead. We have to always be learning, and we have to recognize the times that we're in and really try to get ahead of this to help teach people and instruct them so we can mitigate the expanse of some of these errors.
Wonderful. Let me take a quick break. Let me say to our viewers, check out his book, Woke Jesus. There's a picture of the cover of the book, on the screen there. Really fascinating and well researched. And then Lucas has a website, lucasmiles.org, and there's a picture of that landing page. Check it all out. We'll be right back.
What if your next ride was more than just a ride?
What if it was an epic adventure filled with unforgettable memories?
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
What kind of life are you living? You want to be a happy person, don't chase happiness, chase after God. Don't try to clean your life up and come to God. Come to God and He will clean your life up. You just come as you are.
Harvest with Greg Laurie, weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Okay, welcome back, and so delighted to have back with us today Pastor Lucas Miles. He's a host of the Lucas Miles Show, and he also with Epoch Television, Church and State. He's been a pastor over 30 years, and gosh, he's all over the place. He's an apologist with Summit Ministries now. He's working with Charlie Kirk, and he has a book called Woke Jesus. And this is very timely. There's a picture of the cover of the book, and he has a website, lucasmiles.org. So, Lucas, during the break, I was trying to figure out how to ask you this question. And by the way, good to see you again, and thanks for your time.
Good to see you.
We're trying hard to make churches successful and have big crowds, and at the cost of possibly watering down the gospel. And I'm wondering if we are making salvation too complicated and grace too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a concern, and I think that when you look at the American church, we have roughly over 400,000 churches across the country. That's a pretty broad stroke to kind of paint them in one lump there. I think that there are movements and ministries that certainly are proclaiming an easy gospel that does not require repentance, that does not require transformation of life, that allows you to live however you want to live. And that's okay, because God loves you just as you are, and it doesn't matter. And this misses out on a lot of the major aspects of the gospel, which is recognizing your own depravity, confessing your need for a savior, turning from your past sin and your past ways, and the need to rely on his grace for a transformed life. I think that in many ways what I'm seeing is that a greater problem that exists right now, I think, is that we have many pastors that are simply just afraid to preach the full counsel of the Word of God. One of the things that we talk about a lot within TPUSA Faith and with Charlie Kirk is that there are really three types of pastors that exist. There's true pastors, and these guys are very obvious. They are proclaiming the full gospel. They're fulfilling the call that God gave to them. They love people. They love the truth. They love the scriptures. They have a personal relationship with the Lord. And then there are traitorous pastors, and these are pastors who have ignored their call. They've denied, the Word of God. They take the black magic marker and start crossing off verses that they don't feel like apply to them or their congregations. And these are the guys that I think are really deep into woke Christianity or some variation. There's a middle category, though, and I think that this is where a lot of pastors are in this country, and this is the trembling pastors. These are like Gideon in the wine press. They're hiding. They're hoping that the battle around them, kind of finishes so that they, before they have to actually emerge and come out of that wine press. And I think they need to hear someone come to them, really sort of that angelic voice to say, "Rise up, you mighty and valiant warrior." God's got a plan and a purpose for your life. And there's pastors that love the Lord. They love their people. They love the Word, but they're afraid to talk about abortion. They're afraid to talk about marriage and sexuality. They're afraid to tell people they need to repent. They're afraid to tell people that living together, is not good for you and it's against God, if you're not married, and it's not going to produce what you wanted to in your future relationship. They're afraid of these things. And I think those trembling pastors, they need a lot of support. I'm not here to condemn them. I'm actually here to call them out in a way that lifts them up. But that's a challenge that I think that we have on a major level right now in this nation.
So that kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier, because if we're trying to be all things by being nothing, we're eliminating the transcendence of God. Only the Holy Spirit can change a person's heart. So if you don't present the gospel for what it is in its simplicity, then you're over-explaining it and you're making it too complicated and you miss the point.
Yeah, I think that's a real danger. And I mean, look, there's two aspects here of the Christian life. There's evangelism and then there's discipleship. Evangelism is the starting point. The moment that I recognize my need for a savior and I pledge my heart towards God, I become born again. And we have things like, baptism as a witness and a testimony of that. But the rest of the Christian life is about renewing my mind. It's about plugging into the Word. It's about thinking, really putting His ways as higher than my ways. And I think that that's the part that we're actually, I mean, the fact of the matter, we probably have some pastors that are watering down both aspects of that. But at times we're getting people saved, but we're not discipling them. I think this was the biggest issue with the seeker-sensitive movement, is it did a really good job of making converts, but a really poor job of making disciples. And so, I think that if we're going to right the ship, that we have to address both of those areas in ways that is really preaching and proclaiming the full counsel of the Word of God, both our need for repentance and our need for salvation, and also our the need for continued discipleship and renewal of our mind and transformation of our thinking until we are reach the goal, which is to be conformed into the image of Christ.
You work with Summit Ministries. I have high regard for that organization as well, and a little bit further up the rank there with college students, and they ask some pretty tough questions. What are you getting out of it?
I love working with Summit. I'm actually headed to one of their camps this summer to kind of be professor for the day. And it's always a great honor to be able to do that. I was just with Dr. Jeff Myers, who's the president of Summit Ministries. And we sat down and filmed a new curriculum that we're going to be sharing with churches free of charge together. It'll be out later on this summer. We're calling it First Truths. And so this will be a free curriculum that churches can go through. There's 6 different episodes, and this is one of the things among many that we offer at TPUSA Faith. And look, the questions that these students are asking, I think, are questions that adults kind of get desensitized to. But what is objective morality? Where did we all come from? Who am I in God? What's my eternal destination? But some of these students, they're sharp. Many of them are homeschooled, not all of them, but they've been trained differently. When I was a kid, I was not asking all of these questions. I was asking some of them, but I'm very encouraged by this new generation and their spiritual attunement and attention that they give to it. And Summit, if any parent out there or grandparent, if you have any opportunity to send your son, daughter, or son or daughter to Summit Ministries, it's a tremendous investment, and I think very much worth it.
The average pastor, if not the average parishioner, understands the whole issue of DEI?
I think that the average pastor, for sure, does not has not taken the time to train themselves in these things. It's interesting that there's sort of there's some pastors out there, and I don't say this to shame them. It's good that we read the word, but it's sort of like, I just preach Jesus. I don't talk about anything else. I don't read anything else. And there's a time for that, I think, in your ministry, to where you get aside with the Lord. It's sort of that Paul in the wilderness, going through just being discipled really by the Spirit of God. And that preparation time is very important for us. But if we're going to become relevant proclaimers of the gospel and teachers of the word of God, we also have to know what our people are facing and what they're dealing with. And it's a tough job for a pastor, because sometimes you have to get somewhat close to the mire in order to put your ear to the ground to really hear what people are facing and what they're going through. And so becomes more of an onus to protect your heart, to protect your own morality and behavior and actions in face of that. But I think we should know what's happening on social media. I think we should know what's going on in politics. I think we should understand some of these philosophical things that are being discussed and see the implications. DEI is it's based upon a critical race theory framework, which is based upon Marxism. This is against God. It's antithetical to Scripture. But we have a lot of people that just think, well, diversity sounds like a good thing. Well, diversity is actually the opposite of unity. Unity is the goal of Christianity, and it's unity regardless of skin color, regardless of nationality, regardless of tongue. Diversity, separates people, in these areas. And I think that there is a lot of reprogramming that we have to do, which is the Christian, plight, and that is to renew our minds, to the truth of the gospel.
Gosh, that's well said. Because just about every key issue that we're dealing with in our culture today has been politicized in an attempt to keep the church away from it. But if you're really honest to yourself, every one of these key issues has a spiritual base to it, and we should talk about it.
100%. Look, in the same way that, we see God in Scripture come to Adam and Eve and say, "Who told you were naked?" I think that we need to go to pastors across this country and say, "Who told you abortion's political? Who told you that marriage is political? Who told you that sexuality is political?" These are all first and foremost theological positions. Even something like illegal immigration, which I think is a major topic this year, is first and foremost a theological issue, because you recognize that it's God who gave boundaries to nations and gave, kings and rulers authority. And that is something that is to dishonor their authority is to dishonor God in that regard. And so, there's a lot of theological attributes here and issues that I think we have acquiesced to being to the political side of the conversation, thinking that we don't have a right as pastors to speak about these things. And I would disagree. As a pastor, you have absolute right to teach about anything that intersects with the Word of God and beyond.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what's your next book? What are you working on?
Yeah, so it's called Pagan Threat, Confronting America's Godless Uprising. It's actually available for pre-order already. I'll get you some info on it so you guys can share in the future. But it'll be, we'll be pushing pretty hard in about another 30 days on it. Comes out this summer. In what I did with Woke Jesus, it does with kind of the history of paganism, how the pagan revivalism has come back to this nation. Very honored Charlie Kirk did the foreword for the book. It's going to be a great read, and looking forward to getting it out to the world.
Oh, you're wonderful. So, Lucas, good to see you, buddy. Let me say to our viewers, check out lucasmiles.org. That's the website. Check out the book, Woke Jesus. And when the other one gets ready to hit the shelf, we'll let you know. And we'll have them back. Good to see you. God bless you, friend. Get some sleep.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. All right, take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Okay, welcome back. And today is an interesting day, 100th day of the Trump presidency. And the headlines today are all over the place, as you can imagine. Well, perfect timing for us to have back Megan Barth. She's an independent journalist. And when she's on the show, it's like E.F. Hutton, people lean in.
I haven't heard that one in a while. Thank you.
I say Barth, and they go, huh? Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Perry?
Good. Thanks for your time. Okay, 100 days. What's the Megan Barth take?
Well, I'm quite surprised at how impatient everyone is. It's only been 100 days. We were already hearing about the tragedies and the failures and all of that of the Trump White House within the first 30 days. And of course, that was coming from the deranged left who tried to destroy this country under Joe Biden and the prior administration. What the prior administration did, led by Joe Biden, supposedly, more likely Barack Obama, was try to destroy this country. And how they did that were a couple ways. One, a completely open border, which allowed in tens of millions, and I don't even know if we really have a true number of how many people were not only let in across the southern border and granted immediate asylum and then shipped or bused or took a plane, a government-sponsored plane, to the interior of our country, but there was also another way that the Biden administration trafficked illegals into this country, and it was paying for flights from other countries. So, you're in Venezuela, or you're in Guatemala, or you're in Honduras, or wherever you may be. We're just going to load you on a plane and dump you off at an airport in a sanctuary city that's happy to harbor you illegally. And then on top of that, we're going to give you Social Security numbers. So I find it really rich that the Democrats all of a sudden are screaming about don't touch our Social Security. And they've been doing that, of course, for decades. The Republicans want to throw Granny off the cliff under Paul Ryan, et cetera. But the Biden administration was literally putting illegal aliens who have never contributed a dime into this country, flying them in, giving them Social Security numbers, which allowed them to do two things. Number one, collect a couple $1,000s a month. And number two, easily get onto the voter rolls. And so when you look at this scheme, it's quite evident that in order to get illegal aliens onto the voter rolls, it was easy to give them a Social Security number. But then what that means is that they are counted in the census, which tilts the access of power into the Democratic coffers. So this really was, by design, simply a power move to ensure that Democrats have unilateral control over the federal government, and including the state governments. And then the second part of that, of how to destroy a country in 4 short years by Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Valerie Jarrett or whoever was running this country, was to spend money like drunken sailors. And that's not an insult against drunken sailors. However, you cannot spend your way into prosperity. This has been the old age adage, right? They were spending trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in order to save the climate. The Inflation Reduction Act was really just the Green New Deal in a new dress. And then we found trillions of dollars, thanks to Elon Musk and Doge, going to non-governmental organizations, which were literally government organizations working on behalf of the Democratic and progressive left. So combine those two things in 4 short years, it's certainly going to take more than. Why are there balloons coming up on my screen?
I have no idea.
Someone's birthday? Is someone's
yours? I don't know.
Okay, yay. I don't know.
What's going on in there? Tell him to take his hands off the buttons in there.
Anyway, well, happy birthday to somebody.
Yeah.
So what we have was then the second part was the inflation, spending on NGOs, trillions and trillions of dollars. And then what we found were these non-governmental organizations that were literally working on behalf of the radical left and I would say the Uniparty, going into various countries, overthrowing governments, ensuring that they had leftist policies, introduced into our country through a variety of civil action. And then on top of that, we have Act Blue, which I think is probably one of the best pieces of news in the last week or even in the first 100 days. And that is the money laundering arm of Democratic candidates and elected officials. And there is going to be an investigation. There already has been an investigation, a smaller one conducted by James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, formerly Project Veritas, now the O'Keefe Media Group, where there are millions of dollars of foreign transactions coming in unstopped, unchecked, unverified by Act Blue and going directly into candidates' coffers. So, these 3 things alone, once we kind of clean up that, the border, the out-of-control spending, and we basically take the money laundering operation away from the Democratic Party so they can no longer cheat financially, I think we're going to be on a good track.
Okay, a lot here. Let's. Did you? You have Doge over here uncovering the fat and the fraud. If they just stop funding what they found, I mean, those are huge savings. The other part of it is, we obviously weren't aware of how stacked and biased, and if I can even use the word corrupt, the judiciary has become in our country. They threw everything at President Trump before he was elected. He gets elected, and they're still throwing legal bumps at him. Doesn't this put the Supreme Court in a corner? They have to step in on these rogue district court injunctions somewhere along the line. Do you think they will?
I think what you said is absolutely correct. They're going to have to, because if they don't, we do have a constitutional crisis on our hands where, a judge in New York can determine national security policy under, that is granted to the president under Article 2 powers. They have overstepped their bounds. They are an unelected arm of the judiciary, and they are local. They are regional. The Supreme Court's going to have to step in. It will be very interesting to see how the Supreme Court rules. You know, there wasn't a question yesterday at the White House press conference led by DC Drano. He's a social kind of media influencer. He's got over 7 million followers. And he asked about the suspension of habeas corpus in order to get around as a loophole to these rogue orders from federal judges. And he had an interesting point. I mean, it has been suspended before under Lincoln, I believe FDR, and maybe two other presidents. You know, and it can be suspended in the act of an invasion, and that's what we witnessed the last 4 years, was an invasion of our countries. And Trump was right. You know, Venezuela and other places were emptying out their prisons and their mental institutions. And they were bringing their MS-13 gang members here. And I really hope that the Democrats keep championing MS-13 gang members. I really hope they become the party of MS-13. And I think Senator Kennedy out of Louisiana has it right that the Operation Just Let Them Keep Talking is going to be the plan. Because if you continue to let the Democrats keep talking, they're going to continue to show their true colors and reveal that they are not on behalf of the working man or the working woman or the American family even. They are on behalf of open borders, gang members, criminals, as they've demonstrated through, you know, the false pariah, I guess, the Maryland man, you know, that was an MS-13 gang members, and you could even see his tattoos on his hands, and they were even trying to tell us that he wasn't a member of a gang. Well, you know, whether or not he's a member of a gang, he did have due process. That's number one. Why? Because he went through immigration courts. And 2 immigration judges found that this scumbag, was a MS-13 gang member and is a citizen of El Salvador. So guess what? He broke our federal law by crossing our border illegally, and he broke our local laws by human trafficking. He was arrested for human trafficking. He was arrested for drugs. He was arrested for this, that, and the other. And we don't want immigrants, specifically, we don't want illegal immigrants specifically, but we don't want immigrants that are going to come to our country and destroy our communities. When you look back at Ellis Island, you know, people say, oh, we're a nation of immigrants. Oh, we're a nation. Yeah, we're a nation of legal immigrants. That's the point. Ellis Island didn't just let out anybody into their point of entry. They had quarantine, they had a test, they had things that you had to ensure that when you came to this country, you were actually going to be a benefit to society and not a tax on society.
It seems so simple. I'm just trying to figure out, in trying to keep it simple, why have we lost the impact of the word illegal?
Well, it's been watered down purposely so much by the mainstream media because of Democrats. You know, the mainstream media is supposed to be here to keep people in power accountable. They are supposed to provide citizens with the truth. They are supposed to at least provide a stepping stone to get to the truth, right? Investigate, etc. Mm-hmm. The mainstream media has failed the American people. The Democrats have fed the mainstream media false talking points and also a manipulation of the language, which is what communists do. So remember, I remember this is, 10 years ago, probably. I was on the radio. I was hosting a radio show out of Las Vegas, and I was speaking to the chair of the DNC at the time, and I don't recall his name, but nonetheless, I was speaking about illegal immigration, and he said, no person is legal. And this is 10 years ago. And I said, well, sir, if no person is illegal, then I suggest you guys change the law. Because in the law, it specifically says an illegal alien to the United States. So what the Democrats have done is simply manipulated the language in order to get the outcome that they wanted, and in turn bastardize anyone that dare uses the language that is in black and white in our federal and state statutes.
Okay, so this seems to be imploding on them. And yet the media that supports this agenda is still hanging in there, even though they're falling apart at the seams. I mean, CNN, I think you and I talking have a larger audience than CNN does in prime time. you know. CBS is, I've never seen a major network implode like CBS is. MSNBC is going down. So it seems like this left lunacy is falling apart. Or am I misreading it or too hopeful?
No, I don't. I mean, they are still grasping at the last and final straws and breath that they can in order to push the Democratic narrative, in order to protect the Democrat power, whatever power Democrats might have left. I mean, when you look at the latest polls, Democrats have a 21% approval rating, which I think is lower than Congress. And then when you look at the ratings of CBS and CNN and MSNBC, there are no ratings. They hardly even show up on the Nielsen. Plus, CBS on top of that is being sued, I think, by like $12 billion or something by President Trump himself for purposefully but wrongfully referring to him as a rapist. And so they've got the mainstream media is on its last legs. And what I love, the latest troll by the Trump administration on the mainstream media was putting all of the pictures of all of the rapists and the murderers and the drug dealers and the human traffickers and the illegal aliens on the media lawn where the media sets up on the White House. Yeah. So whatever shot they have that they are going to satellite through their network, they are going to have to stand in front of the illegal alien criminals that have been deported by the Trump administration thus far.
Yeah, that's a brilliant move. All right, let me take a quick break. Always delighted to have with us Megan Barth. We'll be right back.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
The biblical instructions for coming to Christ are repentance and faith. So repentance, that is turning away from your lifestyle of sin, and faith, trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ alone.
There is truth in this world because God created it, and His Word is truth. We see this laid out in the Bible, the foundation to a reasonable faith. And that faith is centered on Jesus Christ and His great work.
Monday, Friday, and Saturday on theDove TV.
Welcome back. Always a delight to have Megan Barth with us. She's an independent journalist doing all kinds of things, always spot on, and we're always happy to have her. I'm trying to figure out in my mind, Megan, trying to be objective to all of this, but it just seems like to me something major has happened under our nose here with the decline of the Democrats going down to a 21% approval rating. They can't seem to find a direction. They can't seem to find an issue. 87% still want to go after Garcia in El Salvador and bring him back, which is just crazy. They're getting made fun of by their own on late night television. Newsom's running around saying we've lost our cause. I mean, they seem to be a cult without a leader.
Yeah. Where's Nancy Pelosi when you need her?
Well, it's an amazing thing to have happen. I mean, I think it was Nancy Pelosi, Schiff, and one other person from San Francisco got together and say, well, we need to move to the middle now in order to win elections, which tells me, obviously, they'll do anything to stay in power because they really don't believe it. But I guess, can they recover? They don't have a leader. They don't have a message. They got nothing going on. They even got a fight going on with their vice chair there at the National Committee. It seems just crazy.
Yeah, David Hogg. You know, that's a great point. And Nancy Pelosi said something, and I usually listen to what she says because, you know, she's been around for quite some time. And she says, just wait 6 months. Give us 6 months. We're going to regroup, and in 6 months, we'll be back. So perhaps sometime in June, July, August, you know, we're going to see a new, improved, less progressive, maybe, Democratic Party, or we're going to see a hardline leftist Democratic Party led by AOC and Bernie Sanders. You know, they're thinking, well, you know, we imported enough serfs. We human trafficked enough illegal alien serfs that we can manipulate the voter rolls, we can manipulate the elections, we can get enough votes to usher in socialism at the ballot box instead of through open borders and economic policy. And so, you know, we'll see what they come up with, but I think it's very telling the desperation they're feeling right now because of the calls for violence which they're resorting to. And what am I referring to? I'm referring specifically to the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, who was at an event the other day saying that, you know, they need to take to the streets, you know, make Republicans feel uncomfortable. You know, this harkens back exactly to the Summer of Love, which was the George Floyd riots, which caused $2 billion in economic damage. I will guarantee you, because the left has not changed their spots, they have not changed their belief system overnight. They are going to double down on violence because that's who they are. That's the only way they believe they can win elections, or at least create enough fear to prevent people from even showing their true colors, right? Like the red hat now is going to become once again and resurrected as the sign of the white supremacist, despite the fact that Trump received the most votes from the African American community, as well as Hispanic males. Nearly 50% of Hispanic males voted for Trump. So the Democrats have lost, and what this tells you is that the Democrats have lost their base. They were reliant on those demographics in order to win elections, the black vote specifically and the Hispanic vote specifically. And then the women's vote, you know, I can't speak for those women that continue to vote Democrat. They're usually single issue voters, and they don't pay any attention to the economy or reality, quite frankly.
So in the meantime, Chuck Schumer is losing ratings like crazy. So in order to save them, he's waving the flag of impeachment again. That's nothing more than a political move, maybe to get his base back. But AOC could be a real threat for him in a primary. I mean, this is big, major stuff on the left.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, well, it's like, well, who can be more commie, right? Like they're like fighting, not who can be more patriotic, who can be more capitalist, who can be more American, who can be more pro-American worker. They're actually fighting over who can be more commie. And maybe, you know, what we're going to see, we're going to, you know, kind of hold our finger to the wind and see if we can knock off a couple of, you know, the old guard like Schumer with the likes of the absolutely mentally incompetent AOC. But like I said, I don't want to get it in the way. Like, I'm certainly not going to tell them how to win an election.
The other thing is they're using vulgarity to speak to the common man.
Yeah, have you noticed that, Perry? And I've noticed it on both sides a little bit too, but more so on the left. You know, why have we reduced ourselves to vulgarity in order to get a point across? I mean, it's just the bottom of the barrel, and unfortunately, I think it's a reflection of Western civilization, unfortunately.
Yeah. A couple of the quick questions. Looks like Canada's stuck with you know, their prime minister, the globalist.
Buena suerte.
So he wants to meet with Trump. What does Trump do now?
You know, what Trump needs to do is focus on the security of the border, the northern border when it comes to Canada. Now that you have an absolute leftist, globalist, good luck, Canada. I mean, are they ever going to learn? They are going to be looted and invaded under this new prime minister or president's watch. And that in return impacts us. So we need to ensure that we double down on border security as well as tariffs, because Canada is not a major exporter to the United States. We can build stuff that Canada builds for us. We're going to have to ensure that we have a robust energy policy under Trump. We have to get that running. And, you know, we'll see what happens.
Wow. Do you think they being the Democrats, and in particular a few that have gone over to El Salvador, do you think they'll back away from Garcia, or are they going to still try to wave that flag, as it seems to be falling apart on them?
There'll be a new pawn. You know, the impeachment that you mentioned that comes from an Indian legislator out of, I believe it's Illinois, who's $800,000 in debt, by the way, and is using this impeachment to get out of debt. Laura Loomer did an excellent job of exposing that yesterday. But nonetheless, the impeachment was based on his exile, or his deportation, rather, from America. And so they're still going to hang their hat on, now it's, you deported a 4-year-old with cancer, a 2-year-old baby. Well, that's because the mothers took them. The mothers were illegal and signed a piece of paper that said, yes, I want to take my child to Honduras or Guatemala or wherever. And I think it was Tom Homan or somebody else was right that said, well, if we detained the child and deported the mother, then it would have said you're holding the child hostage, right? So we can't win with the left, and we can't win with the media. So let's just keep doing what we're doing and let them, again, keep talking and defend the indefensible.
Do you think the president will get the birth baby issue turned over?
Well, that's going to be another Supreme Court decision. And I think he and many other scholars are absolutely right that it has been, again, watered down, misinterpreted, abused, manipulated in order for Democrats to get their way. There is no country in the world, nor does the statute have in black and white, that anyone that comes here and decides to get pregnant and drop a couple kids, those kids are automatically American citizens. It makes absolutely no sense. And so we'll see where the Supreme Court stands on that. Okay. Yes, we have a conservative majority, but we certainly, I don't understand the Supreme Court.
Hey, good to see you. You're looking good. You're looking healthy. And stay at it. And let's stay connected. We got a lot to talk about.
Very good, Perry. Always good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Join David Jeremiah on Turning Point for his series, Signs, Undeniable Prophecies of the Apocalypse, where he examines Bible prophecy and explores the hope and confidence we can have in today's world. Tune in to the next Turning Point here on this station.
Happy Mother's Day from the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning, good morning. Happy the day we've been waiting to say, Friday.
Yeah.
Happy Friday to you. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And Jerry Bildman is here with only one shoe on.
Hey, I'm hopping around, man.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? And speaking of which, I got a story today that I so relate to. I may even have a new nickname coming out of it, but we'll wait. Oh, I can't wait to show you.
So he can give you the left foot of fellowship.
We've heard about the left foot of fellowship, haven't we?
Yeah, you're the only one. You can literally give the left foot of
That's
fellowship.
the only one I got.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, happy Friday to you. A lot going on in the news, and quite the speech last night the president gave at the University of Alabama
How about
commencement.
that? Yeah.
I think that it was very insightful to a lot of things. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
The weather is a little bit cooler, but not for long.
Yeah.
It's just like a little one-day dip.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And anything special?
Well, it is National Space Day.
Really?
Yes,
Well, I'm
dedicated.
accused of that 24/7. Is that what it means?
No, it dedicates the first Friday in May to the extraordinary achievements, benefits, and opportunities in the exploration and use of space. And obviously, that continues in full force. The goal of the observance is to promote math, science, technology, and engineering. Now, there are concepts. You know, we worry about just, reading test scores, some basic math test scores, but this takes it to a new level. The hope is to inspire young people to pursue a career in science, especially a career in space-related jobs. And obviously, that is quite a field. And we're at an exploration level that has, it's surpassed everything we've seen in the past, including the race to the moon. So, we continue. And can you say SpaceX?
Well, somebody's going to go there. I think the Blue Origin one, Bezos.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the glorified joyride.
Yeah. That's a carnival ride, right?
Yeah. It doesn't seem to have anything else attached to it.
And in
SpaceX
fact,
now is actually up and
there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek about the last,
all women thing,
Blue Horizon thing. Yes, and calling themselves astronauts and stuff. And it's like, really? You rode on a roller coaster basically without a rail. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can officially call them astronauts.
I don't know either.
You're an astronaut for what, 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think so, about that. So anyway, but there are a lot of opportunities, and maybe you are inspired to continue with that. So.
Okay.
It's also School Lunch Hero Day.
Oh.
Yeah, dedicated to the men and women who make the cafeterias in schools a better place to be. Did you eat in the cafeteria, or did you pack your lunch, or did you go home? How did you eat lunch in school?
Well, early on, we all brought a lunch. Mm-hmm. Okay, then later on, when you higher up, they had a thing called cafeteria.
Yes.
And then you either had the option of getting lunch for whatever it was, 50 cents, or bringing a lunch.
Yeah.
But that's where all the deal making and the date making was made.
The date making. Yes.
That's where it was all done.
Oh, golly. Was there a cool kid table in your cafeteria?
Oh, gosh. They had these tables where, if you got invited to sit at that, you made it. Man.
Right. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how hierarchy is established in a cafeteria?
Yeah.
Huh?
Some of these movies have capitalized on that, where they had certain groups of people sitting around, and I was never asked to sit at the intellectual table.
Did you force your way in? No.
I was such a socialite that I just got into trouble. So
yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because as a new kid, I remember when I grew up in a cafeteria in a little farm community in North Dakota, and everybody was in the cafeteria.
Yeah,
but, it's 30 below outside.
Yeah.
There's no place else to go.
Yeah.
But I remember when we went to California, and when I was in junior high school, and I met some kids, and I remember the first week I was there, I got invited to their table at the cafeteria, and I remember it was a real warm fuzzy because I had somebody to talk to. First couple days I was kind of sitting alone. And then you kind of get included. It's you mentioned the left foot of fellowship. Yeah. This was an embrace, and it was kind of nice. So
and you could tell by the tables being fashion models, because certain tables dress this way.
Isn't that the truth?
And another table's dressed this way.
You are so, and
you had the ag club over here, and you had the motorcycle club over here.
Yeah, and that brings up a great point. Do you remember when we were kids, you might have had a best buddy or two, and girls do this too. They have their best friends and stuff, and they dress alike.
Yep.
I mean, exactly alike.
Yeah, well, it's you can say what you want. We are products of our environment.
We really are. We want to belong, don't we?
Yeah, we certainly do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, belong to this. I mean, here's a nice way to top it all off. One thing to eat. It's National Truffle Day.
Oh, really?
The N. Petruccelli of Chambray, France, is believed to be the inventor of the chocolate truffle in December of 1895. And traditionally, chocolatiers make this sweet confection with a chocolate ganache center coated in chocolate icing, cocoa powder, chopped nuts, or coconut. Sometimes they may fill the truffle with other tasty surprises too. For example, some candy makers include cream, melted chocolate, caramel nuts, fruit, nougat, fudge, toffee, mint, marshmallow, and a number of other things, but they're all good. But we get...
Is this brought to you by Harry and David?
It could be, huh? Because we've done a lot of Harry and David truffles around here.
Yeah.
And they are good. The truffles I've seen.
All right.
And that's all we got on this Friday.
All right, well, here's the truffle you find under the leaves out in the forest somewhere.
A springtime front is approaching the top of our region, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny for Vancouver and Wilsonville with highs in the low 70s, increasing clouds in Portland with a high near 74, and a slight chance of showers in upper 60s in McMinnville. Moving down the Willamette Valley, sunny in low 70s in Salem, mostly sunny in upper 60s for Albany and Corvallis, increasing clouds in low 70s in Eugene with showers moving in tonight. Increasing clouds across central Oregon today as showers move in this evening. Daytime highs will be in the low 80s for Prineville and mid-70s for Bend and Sun River. In Boise, Idaho, sunny and low 80s. Along the Oregon coast, a front moving in will bring a chance of rain with spots of patchy fog and daytime highs in the low 60s around Coos Bay and low to mid-50s for Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City, California. Increasing clouds in southern Oregon with daytime highs near 77 in Grants Pass and Medford. A slight chance of thunderstorms for both Ashland and the Klamath Basin with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s. Into northern California, becoming cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms and near 77 in Wairika. Sunny with daytime highs near 83 in Redding and Chico and near 79 in Sacramento. In the Bay Area, morning patchy fog for Santa Rosa and Napa, then sunny with daytime highs in the low 70s. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the low 60s. And today in San Jose, sunny and 72. It's a look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you, and there's a picture of our beautiful southern Oregon Valley, or the Rogue Valley, and we got some clouds, maybe a sprinkle here and there through the weekend, but it'll only be around for a few hours, and then back to warm weather.
Yeah, well, we could take some more showers, but we'll take what we get, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of discussion these days about truth. You know, we see lawsuits going on about, news organizations, who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. But here is Billy Graham, and he proclaims that Jesus is the sum of all truth.
Here's what the Bible says about Jesus. Listen to this. Have you ever heard anything, any description, any